Chapter 360. Sima Yue waited for Gong Yen to leave before saying to Bei Gong Tang and the others, "You guys go to the pond to cultivate." "Go to the pond?" Fatty Chu said in surprise. "Isn't it fine to stay by the shore?" "I don't know why, but the spiritual qi will flow into the pool, but if you cultivate inside it will be faster," Sima Yue said. "Then what about you?" Wei Ziqi asked as he keenly sensed the meaning behind Sima Yue's words. "I have something to explore with Chongming," Sima Yue said. Chongming set up a barrier for them. "Don't let the people outside in." "All right." Chongming nodded and formed a seal to create a barrier that wrapped the entire cultivation pool. "Yue, what are you going to do?" Fatty Chu was helpless. "This place and the Snow Wolf clan's cultivation pool are a bit strange. I'll go and find out what's going on." Sima Yue said, "You guys stay here and cultivate. I should be back soon." "Then be careful," Bei Gong Tang said. "Don't worry. If there's any danger I'll come back earlier," Sima Yue said. She and Chongming went to the stone wall in the depths of the mouth and reached out to touch it. Sure enough, they found that it was the same as in the Snow Wolf tribe. When they came in, they noticed the similarities between this place and the other side. They guessed that there should be something similar to a barrier here. He didn't expect it to be so. Sima Yue called out Little Roar and fused with him. She then kept Chongming into her spirit pagoda and walked through the barrier. When Bei Gong Tang and the others saw her disappear from the cave, they each chose a corner of the cultivation pool to enter. "Such dense spiritual qi," Fatty Chu said excitedly. "I can feel the fire element burrowing into my body." Sima Yulu was also very excited as he stretched forth a hand to grab the water. "Let's hurry up and cultivate. If we cultivate here for a year we might be able to increase a few levels," Ouyang Fei said. "Hee, who knows, I might even be able to advance to Spirit Saint," Fatty Chu said. Sima Yue, Bei Gong Tang and the others had all entered the ranks of Spirit Emperors. He was the only one who was still at the peak of Spirit Overlord. That was why he wanted to use this opportunity to break through and become a Spirit Emperor. "Fatty, you have to work hard. If you're too far behind us we won't wait for you," Ouyang Fei said, trying to motivate Fatty Chu. "Everyone start cultivating." Bei Gong Tang didn't say anything else and closed her eyes to start cultivating. Because the spiritual energy was too rich, it was a bit too much for her to bear. She hurriedly mobilized the spiritual energy in her body to guide the spiritual energy that had just entered, making them obediently follow the meridians to the dantian. On the other side, Sima Yue realized that the barrier looked similar to a rock. However, after entering the barrier, she realized that there was indeed a space behind it. She called out Chongming and said, "Look here." "A cave within a cave?" Chongming looked at the cave that extended downwards and said, "Do you want to go down?" "Of course." Sima Yue said, "It's not my style to not go down when I've already discovered that it's not normal." After saying that, she jumped down. Chongming saw that she didn't hesitate and smiled before jumping down as well. Sima Yue felt that the lower she went, the higher the temperature became. Towards the end, she had no choice but to release spiritual energy to envelop herself in order to continue descending. After descending for a while, Sima Yue had no choice but to stop. She realized that the temperature here had completely melted her protective layer. "We can't go down any further," Chongming said. "I can't bear the temperature here." Sima Yue looked down and saw that they were about to reach the surface. She said, "You go back first. I'll use Crimson Flame's flames to envelop myself and go down to take a look." "All right." Chongming didn't force himself and returned to the Spirit Pagoda. Sima Yue kept Little Roar and used Crimson Flame's flames to envelop herself. She could clearly see that the space around her had become distorted due to the scorching heat. Very quickly she reached the bottom. However, when she saw the situation below clearly, she realized that there was no place for her to land. "It's actually all magma. Did the magma come from the Earth's core?" She looked around. There was no place for her to land, nor was there anything special. However, she felt an unusual aura from the magma. Boom dash, a small bubble emerged from the bottom of the magma. When it came out of the magma, it burst and let out a slight cracking sound. An aura floated out from the bubble. This aura made her feel that it was ancient. "It seems that we can't see anything here," Sima Yue said. "It's all magma. We can't continue. Since that's the case, let's go back." "Go down." Crimson Flame's voice suddenly sounded. Crimson Flame? Sima Yue didn't think that Crimson Flame would wake up at this time. She said, "Crimson Flame, the temperature of the magma is too high. I can't stand it here. If I go down, I'll be burned to ashes." Crimson Flame was silent. Then, Sima Yue saw the flames around her slowly turning into a red ball. That ball carrying her moon fell into the magma and was quickly annihilated by the magma. Cultivate here. Crimson Flame said. After Sima Yue entered the magma, she felt that the fire elements were much denser. This red ball seemed to be able to help her absorb the fire elements. She only needed to absorb the fire elements into her body. These fire elements are much more tyrannical than the usual fire attribute spiritual energy. She felt that the fire elements she absorbed were very hot. There was even a slight danger of burning her body. Luckily, her bones and tendons were refined by Crimson Flame's nirvana fire. These fire elements didn't really hurt her. It only made her meridians hurt. However, even so, she almost couldn't bear it and her body almost exploded. So painful, she clenched her teeth. She actually felt pain in this situation. If it was Bei Gong Tang and the others, they would have been burned to ashes by the fire elements. However, that red ball didn't care if her body hurt or if the fire elements were tyrannical. It just kept absorbing the fire elements. She had no choice but to keep absorbing the fire elements into her body. It was a cycle. She didn't know how much time had passed. Sima Yu didn't know if the pain had numbed her or if she had gotten used to it, but she could no longer feel the pain. She only knew that many fire elements had rushed into her body. If she were to rest, those new fire elements would definitely cripple her body. That was why she didn't stop cultivating at all. Feeling that she was already used to it, Crimson Flame came out of her body. He was also surrounded by a red ball. It's rare to come across such a good place. It seems that I can recover a level from my injuries. After speaking, he came to a place not far from Sima Yue. He sat down cross-legged and started cultivating like a human. Chapter 361. While they were cultivating, the others in the small realm were also searching for their own opportunities. Sima Yulin brought the Sima family to another place where a treasure had appeared. Unlike Sima Yue and the rest, the place that they went to did not attract any spirit beasts, and there was no one to compete with them. On the second day that they arrived, they saw the natural treasure ripening. Thus, after defeating the guardian beast, they easily obtained the treasure. Yulin, where are we going now? Sima Yuyang asked. We're not going anywhere. This place is more secluded, so we'll cultivate here. Sima Yulin said. Are we not going to look for other treasures? Sima Yuqing asked. Haven't you realized that the spiritual qi here is denser than anywhere else? Sima Yulin asked back. It seems to be a little thicker. Sima Yuran said. The first thing we need to do here is to increase our strength. Sima Yulin said, the spiritual energy here is at least 3 to 4 times that of the Yilin continent. If we seize the opportunity, we will be able to increase our strength. If combined with a spirit gathering array, the spirit qi will double. Then we can cultivate for a period of time. After that, we'll go look for Yu and the others. We'll see if there are any treasures along the way. Sima Yuqing said. However, why is it that this place is denser than other places? Sima Yuming asked. There must be a reason. Sima Yuran said, if we can find this reason, we might be able to obtain an even greater opportunity. Sima Yulin and the others took a look and said, then let's look for the reason first. All right. Let's take a look at the place where the spiritual qi is the densest. If we follow this, we'll be able to find the reason. Sima Yuyang said. Let me try. Sima Yulan closed her eyes and sensed for a moment, then said, I can feel that the nearby spiritual qi seems to be rushing over here. It seems to be all going over there. She pointed at a mountain peak not far away. Could it be that there is something there that is attracting them? Sima Yuqing said. We'll know once we go take a look. Sima Yulin flew over after speaking. Sure enough, the closer they got to the mountain peak, the denser the spirit qi became. When they reached the foot of the mountain peak, they felt that the spirit qi was about to turn into a puddle of water. The few of them stopped and felt that this place was a little strange. The spirit qi was obviously very dense, but why were there no spirit beasts nearby? There's an array. Sima Yulin said as he walked around. Array formation? Could there be someone here? Sima Yuqi asked. No. This array has existed for a very long time. It could have been set up by someone who came here in the past. Sima Yulin said. A long time ago? Sima Yuyang said, that person's array skills are really high. It's been so long, but the array is still working. Sima Yulin examined the array carefully, saying, he used spirit stones to set up the array. No wonder. What is borrowing spirit stones? Sima Yuqing asked. It's a very rare type of array spirit stone. It uses spirit stones to set up an array. The spirit stone can absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to replenish the needs of the array. As long as the spiritual chi in the air does not dissipate, the array will continue to be effective. Sima Yulin explained. So that's how it is. Everyone understood. No wonder this formation can last for so long. What kind of formation is this? Can you break it? It's a little troublesome. Sima Yulin looked at the mountain peak, saying, this array is an attack array. If you attack blindly, the array will reflect the power of the attack back. That's why we can only think of a way to break it. We can't attack it head-on. Yulin, can you do it? Sima Yuyang asked. I'll try. Sima Yulin said. 2 days later they were still outside the array. If you really can't do it, we can try to contact Fifth Bro. Sima Yuran said. Not bad. You use array skills are not bad. Who knows, he might be able to give you a hint. Sima Yuyang said. Then let's try. Sima Yulin did not force it. Sima Yuran took out the mother stone and inserted his spiritual chi. However, there was no reaction at all. Looks like we're already out of range. Sima Yuran said. Let me try again. Sima Yulin said as he leapt up and flew to the mountain peak beside them. He sat on the peak and looked over, then lowered his head to calculate something. 2 days later, he was calculating when he suddenly thought of something. Sima Yu said. Sometimes, this array needs to be broken from the outside. However, there are other arrays that need to be broken from the inside. Arrays that need to be broken from the inside must have a koan position that can be entered, all the way to the center of the array. When he thought of this, his eyes shone and he flew down from the peak. After that, he circled the array twice. Yulin, have you thought of a way to break it? Sima Yuyang asked. Sima Yulin nodded. You guys stay a little further away. After speaking, he came in front of an unremarkable spirit stone, took a deep breath and stepped in. He disappeared? Sima Yuyang said in shock when he saw Sima Yulin disappear in front of him. After about an hour, Sima Yulin came out again. Yulin, did you break it? Sima Yuqing asked. Sima Yulin's face was full of joy, saying, no need to break it. We can use this array as a cover. I'll bring you guys in. You have to follow my steps closely. You can't take a single wrong step. Okay. Sima Yulin turned around and went in again. Everyone followed him closely. After 10 minutes they all went in. Heavens, the spiritual energy here is even denser than outside. Sima Yuqing couldn't help but cry out. There's something inside that will surprise you even more. Sima Yulin said. When he came in, he had already roughly looked around. At that time, he was so shocked that he almost couldn't regain his senses. What kind of treasure is inside that cave? Sima Yuqing said with a smile. You'll know once you go in. Sima Yulin said as he brought them into the cave. This was a cave that sloped downwards. The deeper they went in, the more spacious it became. Soon they reached the bottom. Why is there a lake here? Seeing the lake at the bottom of the cave, everyone was shocked. You guys take a good look. Sima Yulin said. Everyone didn't understand. However, seeing how mysterious he was, they all bent over to look at the lake. This is... Sima Yuran was the first to understand. His eyes were filled with shock. The others also reacted and said excitedly, could it be that this is all formed by spiritual energy? That's right. If we absorb all this spiritual energy, our strength will definitely increase by a lot. Sima Yulin was excited as well. He was no longer as calm as before. But how did this kind of spiritual energy pool form here? Sima Yuming asked. Maybe we'll understand once we absorb all this spiritual energy into our bodies. Then what are we waiting for? Let's all go in and cultivate. Sima Yuyang took the lead and jumped in. Of course, it didn't splash like normal water. The others looked at each other and jumped in as well. After that, they began to cultivate. Chapter 362. With the protection of the defense array outside, there was no need to worry about the attacks of spirit beasts and other people. The few of them had entered into a complete cultivation mode. Presumably, they would not wake up until they had absorbed all the spirit chi here. However, just in case, they still called out a few contracted beasts. Firstly, it was to prevent them from encountering an array master like Sima Yulin. Secondly, it was to prevent them from cultivating too much and exceeding the time limit. If that happened, they would be stuck here forever. They were cultivating here. Wei Ziqi and the others were cultivating in the Snow Wolf clan, Bei Gongtang and the others were cultivating in the Saber-Toothed Tiger clan, Sima Yue and Qian were cultivating in the lava. These were all cultivation grounds with great opportunities. The group of people's strength was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The others who came in were not as lucky as them. They were not able to find a place to cultivate so quickly. Everyone was still running around everywhere. From time to time, some people would die and some would find their own opportunities. In the blink of an eye, they had already been here for more than half a year. In a patch of grass on a plain, a group of injured people were resting. Big sister, what is the Zhan family trying to do? Guoliang looked at the wounds on Guopei's body and said angrily, are they trying to sever all ties with us? Guopei swallowed the pill, her face pale as she said, they're colluding with others right now. They want to capture us, the Yun clan and the other clans in one fell swoop. This way our clan won't have any proof that they did it. Guofu was also injured. Hearing Guopei's words, she said, I don't know what kind of power they've colluded with. There are actually people from that kind of power. It must be someone from the upper continent. Only that continent would have such a person. Another member of the Guo clan said. Listening to what they said, it seems like they want to deal with the Divine Devil Valley's people. It could be that they have enmity with the Divine Devil Valley in the upper continents. Guofu said. That's very likely. Guopei said, everyone let's hurry up and heal. Otherwise if they catch up we won't be able to fight anymore. Yes, big sister. The other members of the Guo clan didn't say anything either. Those who were injured started to heal themselves. A day later their injuries recovered one after another. Guopei was the first to open her eyes. Seeing the few people who were still recuperating, she didn't say anything. She stood up and carefully looked around. There was nothing special about the vast grassland, but when she saw the mountain peak in the distance, she was stunned. I was actually chased all the way to this place, she muttered to herself. The mountain peak in the distance was where they had parted ways with Sima Yue and the rest. Yue and the rest had gone to the Snow Wolf clan's territory, while they had left to search for opportunities elsewhere. She turned around and at the end of the grassland she could vaguely see some mountains. I wonder if they're still in that place. She might still be here. Guofu's voice sounded. Guopei looked over and saw that she had also recovered. The Snow Wolf clan said that there is a place for them to cultivate. I don't think it's something that can be done in a day or two. Guofu walked over and looked at the faintly discernible snowy mountains. Obviously, she remembered that this was the place where she had parted ways with Sima Yue. If she's really there we might be able to avoid this disaster. Guopei said, I just don't know if she's willing to help us. She should be. Guofu said, Brother Uni is from the Divine Devil Valley, and she's the junior valley master of the Divine Devil Valley. The people from the Divine Devil Valley are being chased together with us. She shouldn't be uninvolved. I hope someone's coming. Guopei suddenly said. Who is it? Is it the Zhan clan? Guofu suddenly became nervous. I don't know. I can't feel their aura. Guopei said, wake everyone up and prepare to move. Yes, big sister. Guofu woke everyone up. Just as they were about to continue escaping, Guopei suddenly relaxed and said, there's no need to escape. It's Yunfeng and the rest. After a short while, a flying beast appeared in their field of vision. The people sitting on it were the Yun clan members. Seeing Guopei and the rest on the ground, Yunfeng and the rest then descended. The Yun clan members were all injured. Their clothes were all soaked in fresh blood. Yunfeng, where's brother Uni? Guopei didn't see Uni and asked worriedly. Big brother is with the people from the Divine Devil Valley. He didn't escape with us. Cough cough. Yunfeng's stomach was stabbed by a sword. It almost took his life. Hurry up and take some pills to heal yourself. Guopei said. We've already finished all our healing pills. Yunfeng said with a bitter smile. Who would have thought that their Yun clan would be forced to such a state by someone? In these 2 months they had been in a cycle of getting injured, escaping, getting injured and escaping again. They had already used up all their healing pills a few days ago. Eat ours first. Guopei passed the last of the pills to him. Then she looked at the Guo clan members and said, who still has pills on them? Hurry up and take them out. The Guo clan members hurriedly took out all the pills they had on them. Most of them were barely enough for the Yun clan. Yunfeng knew that Guopei and the rest didn't have any more pills. Before he could reject them, he heard Guopei say, our 2 clans have been friends for generations. We're grasshoppers on the same rope. In this situation if you're better, our battle power will be stronger. Don't reject them. Yunfeng looked at Guopei's bright eyes. His heart skipped a beat. He nodded and took the pills. The Yun clan members saw that he had eaten the pills. They then took the pills too. Yunfeng ate the pills and adjusted his breathing. He said, let's continue on our way. Those people will most likely continue to chase after us. Why didn't Big Brother Uni bring you along? Guo Peipei didn't understand. The other party is very strong. Yun Feng said, Big Brother said that there are people from the Sage Pavilion in that group. Sage Pavilion? The Guo clan members shouted. And I also heard Big Brother say that the people from the Cloud Cave are in there too. Yun Feng said, the Cloud Cave and the Divine Devil Valley are enemies. They have joined forces with the Sage Pavilion to fight against the Divine Devil Valley. If we go with them, it will be more dangerous. Then the Zhan clan must be in cahoots with the Sage Pavilion. Guo Peipei said, there are a few people in white who are chasing after us. They look pure and holy. They must be from the Sage Pavilion. Big Brother Uni is already half a step into the divine rank. He should be able to fight against the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion, right? Guo Peipei said. Yun Feng shook his head and looked in the direction they came from. He said, I'm afraid that Big Brother and the rest are in danger. Why? The Guo clan members were shocked. Are the Sage Pavilion and the Cloud Cave that strong? The people from Divine Devil Valley should also have very strong people. It's not because of that. Yun Feng said, the Divine Devil Valley has many strong people who have come, but there's someone from the Sage Pavilion who has a sacred beast contract as well. Chapter 363. What? The Guo family members cried out. Guo Peipei felt as if her heart was being squeezed. Even breathing seemed to be a little difficult. If the other party had a sacred beast, then he would be invincible in this little realm, if he did not meet Sima Yue. She looked in the direction of the snow mountain and said, looks like we can only try our luck there. Yun Feng followed her gaze and said, you mean, looking for her? There's no other way except for her. Guo Peipei said, I don't know what method they used to lock onto us. No matter how we run, they will catch up to us. If they really have a sacred beast, if we don't go and find her, we might not be able to hold on until the little realm opens. But half a year has passed. Is she still in the Snow Wolf clan? Yun Feng asked with uncertainty. We can only try. We don't have time now, so I'll have to trouble you to recover on the way. Guo Peipei said, if we can't find her, I'm afraid that Uni will really. Then let's go. Yun Feng said. Regardless of whether they were here or not, he could only try his luck. Let's go. The group boarded the flying beasts. The Yun family members were recovering from their injuries on the way. Everyone else was fine except for Yun Feng, who was severely injured. He was still not fully recovered by the time they reached the Snow Wolf tribe. Stop. Who are you? Why did you barge into my snow mountain? As soon as they stepped into the snowy mountain range, they were surrounded by the Snow Wolf clan's mythical beasts. It was as if they were going to kill them as intruders. We're Sima Yue's friends. We want to ask if they're still here? Guo Peipei asked. Are you young Master Sima's friends? A divine beast circled around them and said, how do we know if you are really their friends? We really are. We still have the things they gave us as proof, Guo Peipei said. What's going on? A level 6 divine beast walked over and asked. This divine beast was the one that brought Sima Yue and the rest to the saber-toothed tiger. Commander, they said they are friends of young Master Sima and are looking for young Master Sima. The 6th level divine beast looked at them and said, I remember you guys. You were with young Master Sima at that time. It had been by the Snow Wolf King's side at that time, so it had naturally seen these people with them. Hearing the level 6 divine beast's words, the Guo family laughed. Excuse me, are they still here? Guo Peipei asked. No. The level 6 divine beast said, they left after a few days. The group was extremely disappointed. If she wasn't here, it wouldn't be easy for them to find her. If they couldn't find her, they didn't even know if they could leave the little realm alive. What should we do? If we can't find her, Uni will. A girl from the Yun family was about to cry. I haven't finished speaking. Although she isn't here, her friends are. That level 6 divine beast said, are you looking for them? Okay, maybe they know where Yue is, Guo Peipei said. Then please help us inform them. They are currently cultivating. Come with me. The level 6 divine beast brought them to see the Snow Wolf King. When he saw them, he knew the ins and outs of the matter and said, Yue and the rest went to the saber-toothed tiger's territory. The remaining 2 are currently cultivating. Since Yue's people were bullied, I will send someone to inform Ichi and the rest to see if they have any way of contacting Yue. Otherwise, you will have to go to the saber-toothed tiger's territory to find them. Many thanks, Snow Wolf King. Guo Peipei said. If it was any other human, they would definitely not receive such treatment. It was only because they had some relationship with Sima Yue and the rest that they were treated with such courtesy. The Snow Wolf King sent someone to find Wei Ziqi and the rest, and coincidentally saw them advancing in rank. So the little wolf waited outside for a while, and only entered when it saw the advancement light disappear. Young Master Wei. The little wolf saw Wei Ziqi and said, "Someone is looking for you." Wei Ziqi and Little Two advanced in rank at the same time, and were feeling the changes in their body. When they heard what the little wolf said, they guessed that Yue and the rest had returned. But when they thought about it, if it was Sima Yue, they would have come directly to find him in Little Tuesday. "Who is looking for us?" he asked. "I haven't seen them before, but they said they are your friends," the little wolf said. "Our friends?" Wei Ziqi frowned. "Did Sima Yulin and the rest find them?" "Brother Ziqi, could it be Sister Guo and the rest?" Little Two said. "It's possible. Let's go take a look," Wei Ziqi said. Wei Ziqi and Little Two came to the Snow Wolf King's cave. When they saw the people inside, they knew that Little Two had guessed correctly. "Ziqi." The Guo clansmen were excited when they saw him. "So it's you guys. Didn't you leave this place? Why are you back?" Wei Ziqi said. Normally, when people were looking for opportunities, they would rarely return after leaving a place. "I'll explain it to you later." Guo Peipei said, "Can you contact Yue and the rest?" "Did something happen?" Wei Ziqi asked when he saw how anxious she was. "Yes, we met with trouble, including the Divine Devil Valley," Guo Peipei said. After that, she explained the situation simply. Because time was tight, there were many things that she didn't have time to say. However, it made Wei Ziqi realize the seriousness of the situation. "I'll try to contact them." He took out the Mother Sun Stone and inserted his spirit energy, but there was no response. The Yun clansmen were happy when they saw him take out the Mother Sun Stone. They knew the use of the Mother Sun Stone. But when they saw that there was no response from the Mother Sun Stone, their smiles froze. "Could it be that they are very far away?" Wei Ziqi said. After that, he took out another Mother Sun Stone and inserted his spirit energy. "Ziqi." Bei Gong Tang's voice came from the Mother Sun Stone. "Bei Gong, are you still at the saber-toothed tiger clan?" Wei Ziqi asked. "Yes. What's wrong?" Bei Gong Tang asked. "Where's Yue?" "I looked for her just now, but her Mother Sun Stone didn't respond." Wei Ziqi said. "Oh, she's not with us." Bei Gong Tang said. "Where did she go?" "She went underground with Chongming. She's probably cultivating down there." "Why are you looking for her so anxiously? Is something the matter?" Wei Ziqi explained the situation, and the four of them felt the seriousness of the situation. After Yue went down that day, she didn't come up for a few months. "We haven't contacted her and don't know if we can contact her now. Why don't you wait? We'll come out now and see if we can find her." At that time, Bei Gong Tang's words were cut off halfway. Wei Ziqi shouted a few times, but there was no response. After a while, Bei Gong Tang's voice came from the Mother Sun Stone. "We don't need to go down, this guy came out alive." Chapter 364. The spiritual qi in the cultivation pool had been almost completely absorbed. In the past 8 or 9 months, the four of them had all risen by 2 to 3 levels, which could be considered a considerable gain. One had to know that it would take several years for one to advance to Spirit King. Fatty Chu finally broke through the Spirit Grandmaster stage and successfully advanced to the Spirit Emperor stage. He was the slowest to advance in the group. However, if he took this talent out, he would still be in existence that would frighten a group of people. As for Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong Tang, they had risen by 3 levels, and the distance between them and him had increased. Fatty Chu did not even have the time to complain before he heard the bad news from Wei Ziqi's side. Before he could even express his anger, the few of them were stunned by the sounds coming from behind the stone wall. Roars could be heard, mixed with the angry roars of people, the collision of spiritual energy, and the sound of magma surging. It was as if a great battle was taking place behind it. Just when they were considering if they should go in and take a look, Sima Yue appeared in front of them in a sorry state. Seeing that half of Sima Yue's clothes were burnt and her body was black like coal, the few of them were stunned for a few seconds. Then they laughed unkindly. "Bei Gong, say something. Did something happen on your side?" Wei Ziqi's voice came from the Mother Sun Stone. Bei Gong Tang maintained her smile and picked up the Mother Sun Stone, saying, "We don't need to go down. This guy came out alive. We'll contact you in a while." After saying that, she put away the Mother Sun Stone. "Fifth bro, what's wrong with you?" Sima Yulu held back his laughter as he helped her up and asked. Sima Yu used Sima Yu Li's strength to stand up. When she opened her mouth, black smoke came out. What a tragedy. I almost became barbecued meat. I'll go pack up first. After saying that, she flashed into the spirit pagoda. Half a day later she came out of the spirit pagoda. At this time the injuries on her body had completely disappeared. Fifth bro, what have you been through in this half a year? How did you end up like this? Sima Yulu asked. Don't mention it. Sima Yue waved her hand as she recalled what she had gone through in the past half a year. Yue, you've become a spirit paragon? Ouyang Fei suddenly asked in surprise. Yes. Sima Yuran nodded. This was probably the biggest gain of the past few months. Every day her body felt like it was being roasted by flames. She had no choice but to use all her energy to guide the fire elements and protect her body. Although her strength was increasing very quickly, the process was too difficult to endure. When she became a spirit elder, the lava suddenly erupted. Coincidentally, the bubbles that Qi Yan had created for her were no longer effective. If she hadn't run fast enough, she wouldn't have been able to get out. Yue, you actually broke through the threshold of Spirit Paragon. Didn't they say that this threshold was very difficult? Fatty Chu cried out loudly. He had just become a spiritual emperor, and this guy had already become a spiritual venerable. Did he have to be so scary? Sima Yue also felt that this threshold wasn't easy. She had risen 4 ranks in the first 6 months, reaching the peak of spiritual emperor. It was only after 3 months that she successfully broke through and became a first-rank spirit paragon. In 9 months she rose 5 ranks. From a 5th-rank spirit paragon to a 1st-rank spirit paragon. Damn, if we knew earlier we would have gone down to cultivate as well. Fatty Chu cried out. Bei Gong Tang and the others looked at her enviously. Sima Yue shook her head, saying, if it weren't for Qi Yan's protection, I would have been burnt to ashes before I even reached the bottom. So dangerous? What exactly is down there? Everyone was shocked. They naturally knew how powerful Qi Yan's flames were. They actually needed his protection to reach the bottom. If they had gone down, they would have been burnt to a crisp. Sima Yue explained the situation down there simply. However, it still left everyone speechless. They all thought that the place down there was specially prepared for people like Sima Yue. Right when I came out, I saw you guys talking to Ziqi. Did something happen? Did he come out as well? Nope. Something happened. Bei Gong Tang said. Yulin and the others? No, Guo Pei Pei and the others went to the Snow Wolf clan to look for us. In the end, they were the only ones there, so they asked him to contact you. However, your Mother Stone didn't respond and couldn't contact you. In the end, they found me. Bei Gong Tang replied. Guo Pei Pei and the others? Why would they look for us? It's like this. Bei Gong Tang told her everything that Wei Ziqi had told her. Sima Yue furrowed her eyebrows after hearing it, saying, I never thought that the people from the Divine Devil Valley would come in as well. Those whatever cave and sage pavilion people actually dared to join hands to kill them. Did they think that I, the junior valley master, didn't exist? Dash, they didn't even know of your existence. Ouyang Fei added. Cough cough dash. Sima Yue glared at Ouyang Fei. She had finally managed to show her dominance, but this guy still dared to tear her apart. Since something has happened, let's go out. Yue, are we going to rush over now? Bei Gong Tang asked. No rush. Sima Yue said, although we have Chongming, don't they have sacred beasts too? Other than that, we still have to bring some helpers over. Let's go, we'll look for Gong Yan first. Gong Yan and a few elders were in the cave discussing how to leave. Ever since Sima Yue and the others went in, they could no longer enter that place. They couldn't even see what was going on inside. As the 1-year deadline approached, they became more and more nervous. They didn't know if they would be able to leave this place. However, they couldn't see Sima Yue and the other situation. Thus, everyone became anxious. Wang Dash, a saber-toothed tiger, ran in from outside and said excitedly, those people have come out of seclusion. Really? Gong Yin became excited. Really? They're walking over here right now. I think they'll be here soon. Then inform outside. Bring them in when they're here. Gong Yin ordered. Sima Yue and the others followed the saber-toothed tiger that was guarding them to Gong Yan's cave. The guard told them to enter directly. The moment they entered, they saw Gong Yan and the elders talking about something. Seeing them enter, they stopped and looked at them excitedly. You're finally out of seclusion. An elder said. We can't see what's going on inside from outside. Are you all okay? Gong Yan said. We're fine. Sima Yue said, we're already out of seclusion. Have you all decided? We've decided. We accept your conditions. We'll listen to you for 100 years after we leave. Gong Yen hadn't even opened his mouth when an elder expressed his stance. I wonder when we'll be leaving? Sima Yue looked at Gong Yen. Gong Yen nodded, expressing that he agreed with the elder's words. Alright, since you've agreed, then go and gather the people. We'll leave immediately. Chapter 365. Now. Gong Yen and the elders were shocked. Don't we still have 3 months? I have some matters to settle. After I leave, I won't have time to come back. Sima Yue said, if you don't leave with me, you won't be able to leave. Gong Yen was stunned for a moment before saying, all right. However, I will need some time to gather my clansmen. All right. Thus, all the members of the saber-toothed tiger clan received the order to return within a day and pack their things. Sima Yue was very curious. These spirit beasts still had things to pack? However, thinking about the piles of medicinal ingredients in the warehouse and the various materials in the palace, she knew that the tiger clan also had a habit of collecting treasures. Presumably, those saber-toothed tigers had their own little warehouse. The next morning, Sima Yue left. Following her was a group of spirit paragon-level saber-toothed tigers. Those low-leveled ones were all thrown into the spirit pagoda by her. However, it was not their usual place, but a separate space created by Little Spirit. There was nothing inside and they could only look at the pitch-black space. However, they could still breathe. This way she could bring them along and not let them know the secret of the spirit pagoda. Gong Yen and the rest saw that she really had a place that could accommodate life and were even more convinced that she would bring them out. Those elders were already fantasizing that they would be promoted to sacred beasts when they left. In the Snow Wolf clan, the Gua and Yun clansmen were anxiously waiting. They had already stayed here for 2 days and did not know what was going on over at Yuni's side. Suddenly a wolf's howl was heard. Rong and Zhao's expression changed as they immediately stood up and said, prepare for battle. Wei Ziqi and the rest saw that they had such a big reaction after hearing the wolf's howl and asked, did something happen? A large group of saber-toothed tigers have invaded. Rong said. I don't think you need to be so nervous. Wei Ziqi said. No, the last time the saber-toothed tigers invaded, they brought along their elders. We were not in time and Xiao was injured. Rong said. If I didn't guess wrongly, it should be Yue who brought the saber-toothed tigers here. Wei Ziqi said. It's her? Is she going to bring the saber-toothed tigers out too? Yes. Wei Ziqi replied, previously Bei Gong told me that they have already discussed the terms with the saber-toothed tiger tribe. I'm afraid that they won't have the time to come back and bring you all back. The only way is to bring you all along. If you're still willing to leave, you should quickly inform the Snow Wolf clan to prepare to leave. We, Ziqi. The mother-son stone in Wei Ziqi's hands suddenly lit up. You. Wei Ziqi replied. Ziqi, go and inform the Snow Wolf King that we have already rushed over and will arrive in half a day's time. Tell them that if they want to leave with us they should quickly prepare. We don't have much time to waste. Sima Yue said. I'm with them. They all heard your words. Wei Ziqi said as he glanced at the Snow Wolf King. Rong and Sky exchanged looks and said, we'll gather our clansmen immediately. By the time Sima Yue brought the saber-toothed tigers to the Snow Wolf clan's territory, everyone was already prepared. Sima Yue looked at the thousands of snow wolves standing neatly on the snowy mountain inside. They were indeed faster than the saber-toothed tigers. Yue. Guo Pei saw Sima Yue and was a little excited. Even the way she addressed her changed. Sima Yue got down from Little Rock and nodded at Guo Pei saying, we'll talk about the details on the way. I'll settle the Snow Wolf clan first so that we can leave earlier. All right. Guo Pei said. Rong saw Sima Yue return and immediately felt that her aura was different. He asked in surprise, you're a spirit paragon? I was lucky. Sima Yue said, are you all ready? We're ready. How are you going to bring so many of us away? Rong asked. I have a place. You can go there. You can breathe there. Sima Yue said, your clansmen will have to stay there for the time being. The saber-toothed tigers are there too? Sky narrowed his eyes at the saber-toothed tigers that were following them. His body emitted a dangerous aura. No matter what grudges you have, if you want to leave you have to put them down now. After 100 years you can do whatever you want. Sima Yue said. Although Rong really wanted to take revenge for Sky, he still nodded and said, all right. Then I'll bring your clansmen over now. Sima Yue said. Seeing that the Snow Wolf King did not object, she waved her hand and the young Snow Wolf clan members disappeared. Yue, why didn't you bring them in with you? Wei Ziqi asked. Aren't we going to deal with a lot of people? When the time comes, we'll need spirit paragons and above to help. Sima Yue said without hesitation. Don't tell me you want to bring so many spirit beasts along with you? Bei Gongtang's face darkened. Previously, Sima Yue did not mention it and they did not think about it. Now that they heard it, they felt that she was a little unreliable. Cough cough, can I? Sima Yue said. She just wanted to look cool when she was on the road. Seeing that everyone was looking at her with disapproval, she helplessly recalled all the spirit beasts, leaving only the Snow Wolf King and the Saber-Toothed Tiger King behind. The Guo clan members were stunned when they heard that Sima Yue had advanced to Spirit Paragon. Now that they saw that the spirit beasts had disappeared, they regained their senses. In 9 months she had actually advanced from a spirit saint to a spirit paragon. How much luck did she have in these few months? Yue, why do you have that kind of space that can contain life? Guoliang asked. Sima Yue smiled and said, it's not strange for a beast tamer to have something that can contain life. It's just that mine is a little bigger. Rong and Gong Yan did not know that beast tamers had this kind of space, but the Guo clan and Yun clan members knew that most beast tamers would have something that could contain life. It was different from an interspatial ring, but it was similar. Hearing her say this, although they were surprised that she had such a big space, they did not say anything. You're also a beast tamer? Yun Feng looked at Sima Yue. Big brother said that you're a pill master and that your talent in alchemy is very strong. Pill master? Aren't you an array master? Guoliang cried out in surprise. Cough cough both. Sima Yue said, alright, let's go now. Where's Yuni now? Do you know which direction we're heading in? Although she wanted to change the topic, everyone still looked at her with a shocked expression. A 22-year-old pill master, array master, and beast tamer. She was even a spirit paragon. Damn, there were not many people who could match up to her talent in the upper continents, right? Chapter 366. Yun Feng, didn't you say you were going to look for your brothers? Where should we go now? Wei Ziqi asked. Oh. Yun Feng regained his senses and said, I have a way to find my brother. As he spoke, he took out a piece of jade. It was similar to the one in Sima Yue's hand. There were 2 red dots on it. Big brother brought this back from the top. He gave it to me before he left. He said that as long as I followed this, I would be able to find her. Yun Feng said, they're moving quickly. Oh no, they're running so quickly. They must be being chased. They're running towards us. They're changing directions. Fatty Chu said. Big brother must have noticed that we were in this direction, so he changed his direction. Yun Feng said. Do you and your brother have a sun-mother stone? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Yun Feng said. He doesn't look too far away. Try to contact him. Sima Yue said. All right. Yun Feng took out the sun-mother stone and injected spiritual energy into it. After waiting for a while, there was a reaction from the other side. We've made contact. The Guo and Yun family members were elated. Feng, what's wrong? Yuni's voice sounded depressed. She was probably injured. Brother, are you being hunted down? Yun Feng asked. Yes. Feng, if I don't survive this time, you must survive. Go to the primordial lands and find the Divine Devil Valley. Tell them what happened here and let them take revenge for us. Yuni was no longer lazy and her voice was somewhat ruthless. Why do we have to go up and find Master to take revenge? Sima Yue said. She quite liked this lazy and handsome guy. You. Yuni's eyes lit up when she heard Sima Yue's voice. What's the matter, Yuni? A voice asked. Sima Yue took the Mother-Sun stone and said, Yuni, take your people and fly outside immediately. We'll pick you up. Okay. Yuni said excitedly. Sima Yue returned the Mother-Sun stone to Yun Feng and flew onto Little Rock, saying, Let's go. Someone dares to bully my Divine Devil Valley's people. Damn it, do they think I'm a junior valley master? After being yelled, Bei Gongtang also went up and said, In any case, I'm an inner disciple. Aya, according to what you said, we will most likely become part of the Divine Devil Valley in the future. This is bullying our people. If we don't go and fight, they will really think that our Divine Devil Valley is easy to bully. Fatty Chu stomped his feet and flew up as well. If we don't perform well, what if Grandpa Devil doesn't want us anymore? Wei Ziqi nodded his head, and actually looked a little pretentious. Initially he thought that Sima Yue was the only one from the Divine Devil Valley, but he didn't expect that they were all. Fatty Chu looked at the people below and said, What are you guys doing? Come up. Rong and Gong Yen sat on both sides of Sima Yue. They were determined not to sit together. The Guo and Yun family members quickly flew up. Little Rock flapped his wings and flew towards Yuni and the others at the fastest speed. Sima Yue turned around and looked at the snow mountain. She thought of the enchantment around the cultivation pool. There should be a place like hers. Unfortunately, she didn't have the chance to cultivate now. On the other side, Yuni put down the Mother Sun stone and said, "Let's change direction and fly towards the northeast." "What? Didn't you say your brother and the others were in that direction? Are we going to find them?" The man who spoke just now said. "That's right, Yuni. If we go over, won't we be bringing danger to them?" Another person from Divine Devil Valley said. "Don't worry. Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion's arrogant days are coming to an end," Yuni said with a smile. "All right." Seeing that he was so insistent, they changed direction again. Yuni lowered her head and looked at the red dot that belonged to Yun Feng moving quickly. Both parties were getting closer quickly. Her lips curled into a charming smile. When she heard the Junior Valley Master's voice just now, it seemed that the Divine Devil Valley was a little overbearing. One day later, the two red dots had almost overlapped. The distance between the two parties could no longer be determined by this. "This is useless. I think they're not far away. Little Rock, pay attention to the aura around you," Sima Yue said. "Yes, Master." Little Rock replied. Peng dash, two waves of spiritual energy collided and spread far and wide in the air. The people on their backs were shocked by the sound. "Could it be that they've been caught up?" Fatty Chu said. "Yun Feng, contact them." Sima Yue instructed with a serious expression. If they had really been caught up, the situation wouldn't be optimistic. "All right," Yun Feng said as he took out the Mother Sun stone. But just as he contacted them, there was an explosion and there was no more news from them. "It's really them. Chongming, bring me over first." Sima Yue called Chongming out. Chongming's aura was much stronger than when he first came here. Sima Yue had advanced in rank and the other spirit beasts had also advanced in rank. Only he needed more energy and didn't advance in rank. But he was close to the next level. After Chongming came out, he transformed into his original form. After Sima Yue flew up, he brought her over quickly. "Since he's so fast, why didn't he bring us along?" Someone from the Yun family said softly. "Sacred beast, is it something that we can sit on whenever we want?" Fatty Chu sneered. That person was speechless. He only thought that Chongming was Sima Yue's contracted beast. He didn't think that he was a sacred beast. Was his back something that ordinary people could sit on whenever they wanted? "Let's hurry up." Wei Ziqi said, "Little Rock, we'll have to trouble you. I'm tired, I can't fly anymore." Little Rock slowed down. The Yun family's faces were burning. It seemed like that person's words had offended Little Rock. "Sorry, he's just worried about his brother's situation. Please don't take it to heart," Yun Feng said. "Cough cough, Little Rock, hurry up. We still have to save the Divine Devil Valley's disciples." Wei Ziqi laughed secretly in his heart and patted Little Rock's back. "All right." Little Rock snorted twice before increasing his speed. Sima Yue sat on Chongming's back and was much faster than Little Rock. They quickly left them behind. Peng, Yuni and the Divine Devil Valley's people were beaten to the ground along with their flying beasts. "Haha, isn't your Divine Devil Valley very powerful?" The person who came stood on the flying beast and looked down arrogantly. "Zhou Guangxian, does your Cloud Cave really want to kill us all? Aren't you afraid that we'll get out alive and seek revenge on your Cloud Cave?" A Divine Devil Valley's disciple said. "Haha, if you all die here, who would know that we did it?" Zhou Guangxian laughed and said, "Men, go down and kill them all." Chapter 367. The group of people jumped down from the flying beast and landed right in front of Yuni. And Carrot. "Come, Yuni, I heard that you've been very proud of yourself recently. How could your handicapped master be willing to let you out of the Divine Devil Valley this time?" A man with a scar on his face looked at Yuni with a sinister smile. "Zhonghai, you're here too." Yuni's face sank when she saw the person closest to her. Cloud Cave's Zhonghai had always been against him. The two of them had been enemies for more than 10 years. He didn't expect to meet him here today. This person was vicious and merciless. Yun Feng and the others had not come yet. It seemed that this time he was doomed. "Zhonghai, why are you still talking nonsense with him? Hurry up and clean him up so that we can chase after the rest of them," Zhou Guangxin urged in the air. "Senior brother, why are you in such a hurry? It's rare that we have time to chat with the Divine Devil Valley's disciples." If we send them on their way, we'll be rude if we're too anxious. Zhonghai said. That's right, senior brother. We have to send them on their way. After the other man finished speaking, he used the knife in his hand to cut the arm of the person in front of him. The pain made the person's face turn as white as paper. He covered his arm with cold sweat, but he didn't make a sound, let alone beg for mercy. Just in case, Zhou Guangxin said. Well, since senior brother is in such a hurry, then let's end this quickly. Zhonghai said, I'll first cut off your hands and feet, then cut off your head. How about that? Zhonghai, don't you dare. A few people on the other side shouted. I dare? Ah, I dare. Zhonghai laughed and waved the sword in his hand, ready to chop down. No. The people from Divine Devil Valley shouted. Even Uni closed her eyes, waiting for the last bit of pain. But after a few seconds he didn't feel anything. Instead, he heard the voice he had been waiting for. Move then. I want to see how you're going to look at his limbs and head. He opened his eyes and saw Sima Yue standing on the back of a big bird. With a leap, she landed in front of him and kicked Zhonghai away. Uni, I'm not late, am I? She turned around and looked at Uni, who was seriously injured and unable to move, and said with a smile. Cough cough. It's not too late. Uni clutched her chest and coughed up blood, but her face was smiling. Sima Yue looked at the smile on his face and said, I realize that you have the aura of a demon when you smile. Who are you? How dare you interfere in our business? Zhonghai had just been immobilized. Although he was kicked by Sima Yue, he regained his freedom. You're just a level 1 spiritual venerable. How dare you try to be a hero? A man from the cloud cave scolded when he saw Sima Yue's strength. Everyone else had the same thought as well. After all, Sima Yue had shown her strength earlier. Only Zhuang Guang Xan did not underestimate Sima Yue. What she did to Zhonghai just now was not something an ordinary person could do. He flew and landed in front of Sima Yue and said, It's best if you don't interfere in our business. If you leave now, we won't bother you. Senior. Zhonghai and the rest were anxious. If he really left, what would they do if he told others about them? Shut up. Zhuang Guang Xn scolded Zhonghai, then looked at Sima Yue and asked, What do you think? Why don't we settle this? Sima Yue sneered, You're going to kill my Mystic Valley's disciple. You still want me to stand by and do nothing, and wait for you to gather your strength to kill me? You're from the Divine Devil Valley? Zhuang Guang Xn looked at Sima Yue suspiciously. Why didn't he know that there was someone like her in the Mystic Valley? Although I haven't been to the Divine Devil Valley, I am indeed from there. Sima Yue said, So it's impossible for me to leave. But I can leave your lives behind. Shameless boasting. The Cloud Cave's people looked at Sima Yue, were at least 4th level spirit paragons. You, a 1st level spirit paragon, want to take our lives? Whether or not I'm shameless, you'll know in a while. Sima Yue laughed evilly. You're not from the Divine Devil Valley. The Divine Devil Valleys. Blood Thumb Ring. Zhuang Guang Xn suddenly saw the blood thumb ring on Sima Yue's thumb and cried out involuntarily. Oh, it seems like you recognize this thing. Sima Yue said, That's true. If it wasn't for this thing, I wouldn't be considered a member of the Divine Devil Valley. Blood Thumb Ring. She's a junior valley master? The Divine Devil Valley's people looked at Sima Yue in shock. They all knew that there was a junior valley master in the Yilin continent. They didn't expect to meet her here, and even more so, didn't expect that she would come to save them. Since you know my identity, I won't talk nonsense. Sima Yue said, Just like what you said, if we want to keep it a secret, we can only kill all of you. Chongming, I'll leave it to you. All right. Chongming descended from the sky. When he reached the ground, he had already changed into his human form. Sacred beast. Everyone cried out. They didn't expect her to have a sacred beast. When Chongming made his move, it was absolutely clean. Those people didn't even see how he made his move, and they all died one by one. Sima Yue didn't watch Chongming make his move. She came to Yuni's side and squatted down. Seeing that he was covered in injuries, she sighed, I haven't seen you for a few months and you're already injured like this? Uni laughed bitterly, It's really not as good as before. Alright, it's better that you don't talk. In a while, you won't have the strength to catalyze the pill. Sima Yue said as she took out a pill for him to consume. Then she looked at the people from Divine Devil Valley and asked, These people are all from our valley? Yes, they are all disciples from different valleys in the inner valley. Uni said. There are even valleys? Sima Yue asked. Don't the people from Divine Devil Valley live together? It's not that they don't live together. It's just that people from different professions have different names. Yuni said. Oh, it's still like this. So troublesome. Sima Yue said, you're all injured. Why are you all so silly and don't know how to take pills to heal your injuries? Greetings to Junior Valley Master. Those people were a little awkward but they still bowed to Sima Yue. Forget it. Sima Yue said, are there no more pills? The people from Divine Devil Valley nodded awkwardly. I knew it. Sima Yue said, Yun Feng and the rest have all finished their pills. You guys should be about the same. You over there, you look like you can still move. Distribute them to everyone. She said to a young man. That man walked over, took the pills and swallowed all of them. Yue, do you want to keep him alive? Chongming looked at the last person and asked. Keep him alive for the time being. I still have some things to ask him later. Sima Yue said. All right. Chongming nodded and didn't make a move on him for the time being. Zhonghai sat on the ground. Looking at the sudden reversal of the situation and the sacred beast in front of him, he felt like he was in a dream. Of course, this dream was also a nightmare. Chapter 368. The people from the Divine Devil Valley were very curious about this Junior Valley Master who appeared out of nowhere. However, all of them were severely injured and the most important thing was to heal their injuries. After a while, Little Rock brought the remaining people and hurried over. Brother Uni, are you all right? Guopeipei was the first to fly down. She landed in front of Uni and looked at him with concern. I'm fine. Uni opened her eyes. There was a lazy smile on her face. Fortunately, Junior Valley Master came in time. Thank you, Yue. Yun Feng bowed to Sima Yue. What are you thanking me for? I just saved the people in our valley. Sima Yue said, then turned to Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei. Do you guys still have a lot of healing pills? Both of them shook their heads and said, we've already cleaned up our medicinal pills before, and then distributed them to everyone. There's not much left. Junior Valley Master, many of them are also alchemists. It's just that they were being chased and didn't have the time to refine pills. Let's wait for them to recover and let them refine pills themselves. Uni said. That would be a waste of time. When they recover, it will be our turn to deal with those people. Sima Yue said, the three of us should make use of this time to refine some pills in case we don't have enough later on. As she spoke to this point, she began to worry. She didn't know how Sima Yuran and the others were doing right now. Would they run out of pills as well? She took out the Mother-Sun Stone and tried to contact Sima Yuran and the others. She realized that they were too far away and there was no response. Are you worried about them? Bei Gong Tang walked over and asked. Yes. I haven't contacted them for such a long time. I don't know how they are doing. Sima Yue said. Don't worry, Yulin isn't a simple guy. With him around, the others will be fine. Bei Gong Tang said. Okay, let's wait for a while. Once we're done here, we'll go look for them. Sima Yue took out the positioning jade stone. There were 2 red dots on it that were in a stationary state. Then let's refine the pills. The earlier we finish, the earlier we can go find them. Bei Gong Tang said considerately. All right. The 3 of them went to the side and started to refine pills. Many of the people in Divine Devil Valley were alchemists, but when they saw the 3 of them refining pills proficiently and the rate of pills produced from every furnace, everyone was quite surprised. This wasn't difficult for them, but for these people who grew up in the lower realms, this wasn't easy. Moreover, they were much older than these 3. Especially Sima Yue's technique, it could be compared to the previous generation. No wonder the Second Valley Lord chose her as his disciple. That was what everyone in the Divine Devil Valley was thinking. By the time their injuries were almost healed, Sima Yue and the others were almost done refining the pills. She distributed the pills to everyone, including the members of the Yun and Guo families. All right, now tell me what's going on. Sima Yue said, who are the people who want to kill you? What kind of hatred do they have for you to go all out to kill you? Let me tell you. Yuni looked at Zhonghai and said, they are from the Cloud Cave. They are our Divine Devil Valley's enemies. Cloud Cave? Have we reached the point where we will fight to the death with them? Sima Yue asked. You can say that. Yuni said, the Second Valley Lord was injured by the Cloud Cave's cave master. What? My master was injured by them? Sima Yue glanced at Zhonghai. The murderous intent in her eyes made him shiver. That's right. Yuni nodded. It seems that other than them, there are others who are trying to kill you? Sima Yue asked. Yes. The Sage Pavilion is colluding with the Cloud Cave. There are also the Zhan clansmen and people from other continents. Yuni said. The Sage Pavilion is colluding with the Zhan clansmen because of that old man who became the assistant pavilion master, right? Sima Yue said, but they can gather people from other continents. Why can't you find people too? Because they find people with connections. For example, the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion have people who entered the upper realm. Our Divine Devil Valley doesn't take in many people, so we can gather few people. Plus, our luck isn't very good, so we didn't meet many people. And the other party has sacred beasts. Those people don't dare to be with us. A Divine Devil Valley disciple said. How many people do they have? Sima Yue asked. We don't know either. But we guess that there are at least 1,000. Uni said. 1,000? So many people? Fatty Chu said in surprise. Just the Cloud Cave has at least 100 to 200 people. Shin Rao, the Divine Devil Valley disciple who spoke first said, and they seem to be targeting us. Once we met them they started to chase us. There are many from the Sage Pavilion. Another person said, including the people they gathered, 1,000 people is a conservative estimate. The other party has so many people. Why are there so few of you? Sima Yue said. The Divine Devil Valley had about 30 to 40 people. Including the Yun and Gua clansmen, there were less than 100 people. We didn't have so many people before. 10 to 20 people died in the battle. Someone said with red eyes. Yes. Junior Valley Master, you have to take revenge for them. Don't worry. If they dare to kill the Divine Devil Valley, we can also encircle and annihilate them. Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion, do you know where they are now? Sima Yue asked. I don't know the details, but I know the general location. Shin Rao said. Alright, then let's start the counterattack now. Sima Yue said. Because there were many people, everyone sat on their own flying beasts. Only Uni and Shin Rao were called over by Sima Yue to understand the details of the Cloud Cave. After Uni's explanation, Sima Yue then knew that the hatred between the Cloud Cave and the Divine Devil Valley was so strong that it couldn't be resolved. The Cloud Cave was seen as a righteous sect. But the Divine Devil Valley was both righteous and evil. Although there were more professional masters, most of them had bad tempers and often offended people. The Cloud Cave was one of the powers that had been offended. The reason why they hated each other in the beginning was unclear now. However, for thousands of years, the two forces would fight each other whenever they met. When they met in private they would definitely fight to the death. As more and more people died, the conflict between the two forces could no longer be resolved. And the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion were very close. Maybe it was because they both liked to pretend to be holy and righteous. Birds of a feather flock together. According to Yun Yi and the others' guesses, the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave had been preparing to make a move against them in the Little Realm from the very beginning. That was why they had come prepared and caught the Divine Devil Valley's people off guard. Chapter 369. The people of Divine Devil Valley still felt like they were dreaming, but compared to Zhonghai's nightmare, their dream was a beautiful dream. Copy this address views %77%, 77%, 77%, 2E%, 62%, 69%, 71%, 69%, 2E%, 6D%, 65. Actually, when Old Man Devil came back and announced that he had taken in a disciple in the Yilin continent, and this disciple was recognized by the Blood Ring and became their Junior Valley Master, everyone in the Divine Devil Valley was shocked, and some even rebelled. From their point of view, the people from the Lower Realm continent weren't anything special. Such a person wasn't qualified to be a Junior Valley Master. Many of them wanted to obtain Old Man Devil's inheritance, but none of them succeeded. In the end, a person from the Lower Realm obtained the position they dreamed of. But the Divine Devil Valley's rules were like that, they were not allowed to offend their superiors. Therefore, when Uni saw Sima Yue, she had to bow to her even though she didn't want to. However, they didn't expect that this Junior Valley Master, who they had always looked down on, would come down from the sky and save them, pulling them back from the brink of death. Moreover, she was decisive in killing, and her talent was even higher than theirs, causing them to completely submit to her. Junior Valley Master, I didn't expect you to advance from a spiritual emperor to a spiritual venerable in just 9 months. Uni sighed. I was lucky to get an opportunity, Sima Yue said. Advancing from a spirit emperor to a spirit supremacy in 9 months? Shinrao looked at Sima Yue in shock. Was the Junior Valley Master a peak spirit emperor before? No, Sima Yue said. That is. You was a 5th level spirit saint before. In 9 months, oh, you've risen by 4 levels? Fatty Chu said. 4 levels in 9 months? Or is there a huge gap between them? Shen Rao cried out, attracting the attention of the others. After knowing that Sima Yue had advanced in rank, the other Divine Devil Valley's disciples were all dumbfounded as they had never seen anyone advance in such a manner. Even if they advanced faster in the upper continents, no one had ever encountered such a situation. Master, there's a situation up ahead. Little Ping interrupted, breaking everyone's shock. What's wrong? Sima Yue asked. There's a fight. Let's go and take a look. Sima Yue said, if they are from those forces we can clear the area. Yes, Master. Little Rock led them forward at high speed. Not long after they saw a group of people fighting. On one side there were mostly women and their clothes were similar. They should be from the same sect. He couldn't tell which force the other party was from. They are from the Moonbow clan. Shen Rao immediately recognized the white-robed women. Is he close to us? Sima Yue asked. Not bad. The Second Valley Lord has a good relationship with one of their elders, Granny Feng. Yuni said. That's Zhong Quan. Shen Rao suddenly pointed at one of the men. Seeing the confusion on Sima Yue's face, Yuni explained, Zhong Quan is Zhong Hai's brother. They are all from the Cloud Cave. So Zhong Quan is leading a group of people to kill the Moonbow clan people? Sima Yue said. Since that's the case, what are you waiting for? Go and save the damsels in distress. With her command, the Divine Devil Valley's people were filled with fighting spirit. All of them wanted to fly over and join in the battle, to save the damsels in distress. Beauties, I told you not to put up a fight. You should just surrender obediently and let our brothers have some fun. That way you can live a little longer. A wretched man laughed wretchedly. Even if we die, we won't let you have your way. A woman shouted. Zhong Quan, you're leading people to kill the younger generation of the various sections. Aren't you afraid that the Cloud Cave will be hunted down by the various sects? Zhong Quan and Zhong Hai looked alike, but he looked more ruthless. Hearing the other party's reprimand, he laughed coldly. Since we've already made such a decision, we're already prepared for such a situation. Of course, we're only doing this because we have the strength. So you do have the strength. Sima Yue's voice rang out, shocking the people who were fighting. Weren't you? Seeing the Divine Devil Valley's people, Zhong Quan's face darkened, saying, Where's my brother? Of course we send him on his way. Sima Yue said, We're sending you to see him now. Yuni. Compared to Zhong Quan and the rest, the Moonbow clan's people were much more excited. What are you waiting for? You were shouting about saving the beauties just now. Why aren't you going now? Sima Yue waved her hand. All right. The Divine Devil Valley's people joined in the battle, attacking Zhong Quan's people. Sima Yue also joined in the battle in order to consolidate her strength. When the Divine Devil Valley's people saw that she could beat a third-level spirit paragon to the point where he couldn't even fight back, they were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped to the ground. What a strong battle power. It's so easy for her to fight someone of a higher level. The Junior Valley Master is mighty. Damn, that move is so cool. The crowd sighed. When Yuni saw Sima Yue's battle power, she couldn't help but sigh. This guy's strength was definitely unrivaled in the same level. No wonder he was chosen to be the Junior Valley Master. With this kind of strength, even if it was the Divine Devil Valley's people, no one in the younger generation could match up to him. Yuni was at the peak of the Spirit Paragon stage, and it wasn't difficult for her to deal with these people. So the battle situation was quickly reversed, and the people who were originally overbearing were all beaten up by the Divine Devil Valley's people until they lost the ability to move. The Moonbow clan's people gradually retreated from the battle after the Divine Devil Valley's people arrived. When the battle was over, a beautiful lady came forward to express her gratitude to Yuni. Yuni, thank you all. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid we wouldn't have survived today. The beautiful lady smiled slightly and Fatty Chu almost drooled. If you want to thank someone, you should thank our Junior Valley Master. Yuni said. Junior Valley Master? Isn't Ing Bai Chuan unable to enter this little realm? The beautiful lady frowned slightly. If that was the case, why would he send people to save them? I'm talking about the other Junior Valley Master. Yuni pointed at Sima Yue, who was currently commanding the crowd to loot the spoils of war. She's your Junior Valley Master? The beautiful lady's red lips parted slightly in shock, and it was extremely alluring. She had seen her battle just now and she was indeed rather powerful. But when did the Divine Devil Valley have another Junior Valley Master? Especially with this kind of behavior. Hey, you guys hurry up and loot their interspatial rings. These are our spoils of war, we can't just leave them here. Aya, this guy has a big background, there are so many treasures here. Fatty, what are you dawdling over there for? Don't let me find out that you're pocketing things. Sigh, I should have been gentler when I hit him just now. Such a good spirit weapon was destroyed by me just like that. This guy is really too weak. Oh, my treasure. The beautiful lady looked at Sima Yoyue's unrestrained roguish aura, and looked at Uni suspiciously. The meaning in her eyes was obvious. Is this really your Junior Valley Master? Chapter 370. Cough, cough. Uni felt a little awkward when he saw Sima Yoyue's expression. He had seen her like this when he saved them previously. However, he still nodded and said, "That's right. She is a disciple that the Second Valley Lord recently accepted. She obtained the recognition of the Blood Ring, so even though she hasn't gone to the Primordial Lands yet, she is still our Junior Valley Master." The beauty widened her eyes and said, "She's not from the Primordial Lands?" No. Uni looked at Sima Yoyue. Not only was she not from the top, she was from the worst continent. However, it was this kind of person that made him accept her wholeheartedly. He was willing to treat her as the Junior Valley Master. The beautiful woman saw Uni's attitude and knew that Sima Yoyue was not simple. Everyone in the upper realm knew that although Uni came from the restless continent, he was the direct disciple of an elder and had great talent. He was highly valued by the Two Valley Lord of the Divine Devil Valley. Although he was usually undisciplined, he was actually very arrogant. However, the way he looked at Sima Yoyue was filled with admiration and respect. If she hadn't been good at observation, she definitely wouldn't have been able to tell. Since that's the case, I'll go and thank her. I hope you can be a guide. The beauty smiled. All right. I like to serve beautiful women. Uni smiled lazily and took her to Sima Yoyue. Junior Valley Master, this is Xiaoya of the Moonbow sect. She is Granny Win's favorite disciple. Uni said to Sima Yoyue, then pointed at Sima Yoyue and said, "This is our Junior Valley Master, Sima Yoyue." Uni, didn't I tell you not to call me Junior Valley Master? Come to think of it, I'm much younger than you. Sima Yoyue said, "Why do I feel old when you call me that? Just call me Yoyue." Hee, this rule can't be abolished. When you go up there, people who are hundreds or thousands of years older than you will call you that. You have to get used to it in advance. Uni said. Although he didn't want to admit it, he liked to see Sima Yoyue's slightly raised eyebrows. Thank you, young Master Sima, for saving us. Xiaoya cupped her fists towards Sima Yoyue and thanked him with a smile. Miss Xiaoya, there's no need to be so polite. Didn't you see how happy those guys were when they saved the beauty? They need this kind of opportunity to express themselves. Sima Yoyue waved her hand. When the people who were collecting the loot heard Sima Yoyue's words, they couldn't help but twitch their lips and say, "Junior Valley Master, we have always been serious. You were the one who said that, okay?" What couldn't wait to be the hero to save the beauty, these were all her words. They were actually very serious from the start to the end. Even when it came to collecting the loot, they were extremely unwilling. Xiaoya covered her mouth and laughed. Their Moonbow clan and Divine Devil Valley had some relations, so the two sects would occasionally interact with each other. It wasn't that she didn't know how the people from Divine Devil Valley were like in the past. Although they seemed a little indecent at times, they weren't as exaggerated as Sima Yoyue said. No matter what, I still have to thank you. If you didn't rush over, I'm afraid that we would really... Speaking of this, Xiaoya was a little angry. The people from Cloud Cave seem to have put in a lot of effort to get rid of us here. Looking at Zhong Quan just now, it seems like he isn't afraid of us finding out. Looks like they have something to rely on. Right, didn't Zhong Quan say that Zhong Hai brought people to kill you? How did you? At that time, our situation was similar to yours. In fact, it was even more dangerous than yours. It was the Junior Valley Master who brought his contracted beasts to save us. Uni said as she looked at Sima Yoyue gratefully. She alone was able to save all of them? Xiaoya was surprised, but she didn't show it on her face. Is your Moonbow clan also a large power in the upper levels? Sima Yoyue asked. She wasn't very clear about the distribution of power in the upper levels, so she wasn't clear about the relationships between the powers in the upper levels. In the past, she only knew that the Sage Pavilion seemed to be very powerful. Later on, she found out that the Divine Devil Valley was also very powerful. But it seemed like there were many powerful powers in the upper levels. The Moonbow clan is on the same level as the Divine Devil Valley. Uni said. Then what about Cloud Cave? Although Cloud Cave is on the same level as us, they are considered to be at the bottom. Usually they don't dare to fight with us. This time, I'm afraid that they have something to rely on. Xiaoya said, from what I know, other than us there are others who are being hunted down. Especially since a holy sun from the sage pavilion has come down. Right now, I'm afraid that we can only avoid them. Hopefully we can wait until the passage opens again. There's no need to avoid them, Uni said. Uni, the opponent has a sacred beast. Even if we have more people, we won't be a match for them. Xiaoya said. They have a sacred beast, so do we? Uni said, when the time comes, it's hard to say who will be stronger. You have a sacred beast too? Really? Xiaoya was a little suspicious. She had never heard that Uni had a sacred beast. It's the Junior Valley Master's contracted beast. Uni replied, at that time he brought a sacred beast to save us. Xiaoya was even more surprised. How could someone from the lower realms have a sacred beast as a contracted beast? Could it be that old man devil found it for her? But that couldn't be the case. The people above usually wouldn't give their disciples contracted beasts that were much stronger than them, because it would be easy for the contracted beast to attack them. Their attention was all on this, but Sima Yuyue's attention was wandering back and forth between the two of them. In the end, the two of them were a little embarrassed and asked, Junior Valley Master, what's the matter? Sima Yuyue's gaze turned away from Guo Pei Pei, who was a little disappointed, and said, it's nothing. I'm just a little curious. Didn't you say that the people above are very powerful? Why are there so many people below the divine rank? There are quite a few people from your big sects who came down, what about the others? Although our numbers aren't small, we occupy a smaller portion than the others. Xiaoya explained, for example, in a small sect out of 10 to 20,000 people, there would only be a few hundred people below the divine rank. That's not even a tenth of the total. For bigger sects like ours, they pay more attention to the talents of the future generation and take in more people. That's why there are more people below the divine rank. Moreover, there are many people above, so even if the ratio is smaller, there are still more people below the divine rank. Uni added. So it's like that. Sima Yuyue nodded. At the same time, she thought about the population growth in China in her previous life. Although the growth rate was smaller compared to foreigners, there were 1.3 billion people there. So what if the ratio was small, the growth rate was still much higher than other countries? It seemed like this was the same logic. At this moment, Fatty Chu walked over and said, Yue, we're done packing. What are we doing at the back? Chapter 371. Just as Sima Yuyue was leading her men to fight back, Sima Yulin and the others also ended their seclusion. Sima Yulin was the first to come out of seclusion. In the span of 9 months, he had risen by 3 ranks, becoming a 4th-ranked spirit saint. Sima Yulan had also risen quite a bit, but she was still a distance away from the 4th rank. Sima Yuyang had just become a 3rd-rank spirit saint. The rest of the Sima family also entered the Spirit Emperor stage one after another. When all the spiritual qi liquid in the cave had been absorbed, they opened their eyes one after another. Who would have thought that all the spiritual liquid here would have been completely absorbed by us? Sima Yuqing sighed. Not bad, everyone's strength has increased quite a bit. Sima Yuyang said with a smile. We've all advanced to the rank of spirit saint. Sima Yuming and the others were very happy as well. This was a huge gain for them. After asking the contract beasts, they found out that they had been in seclusion for nearly 10 months. 10 months. Sima Yulin furrowed his eyebrows. I didn't think that we would spend so much time in seclusion. Now that we only have 2 months left, we have to look for Yu and the others. Hey, there's a set of white bones over there. Sima Yuqi cried out. Everyone followed his gaze. In the deepest part of the cave, there was a set of white bones lying in the remaining spiritual energy liquid. Because they had absorbed most of the spiritual energy, this set of white bones was exposed. Is this the person who set up the formation back then? They walked over curiously. This person definitely did not leave before the little realm closed for some reason, and finally died of old age here. Sima Yuqing guessed. I don't think so. Sima Yuran said, if he died of old age, he wouldn't set up such a complicated array nearby. The spiritual energy seems to have all come here. Sima Yuyang said. Everyone sensed their surroundings and found that it was indeed as he said. All the spiritual qi in this place had come here. What is it about this place that attracts all this spiritual qi? Sima Yuqing was extremely curious. It can't be that this skeleton can attract all this spiritual qi, right? Nonsense. How is that possible? Sima Yuyang knocked her on the head. Looks like we found a treasure this time. Sima Yulin said as he walked towards the skeleton. He carefully picked up the tattered clothes, and a pearl the size of a fist appeared in front of everyone. What is this thing? Sima Yuming asked what everyone was thinking. I don't know, but the spiritual qi liquid here should be related to this. Sima Yulin said. Looks like this bead has the ability to attract spiritual qi. If I use this bead to cultivate, I will definitely be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Sima Yuran said. Hee, once we get out, we'll let our clansmen use this to cultivate. Our clansmen will definitely be stronger than the other clansmen. Sima Yang said. We'll keep it for now. We'll give it to Patriarch when we get out. Sima Yulin said, we'll go look for Yu and the others now. All right. Yulin, quickly take a look at how far away Yu and the others are from us. Sima Yuqing urged. Sima Yulin took out the jade stone. The two blood-red dots were rather small, indicating that the two of them were rather far away. Looks like we'll have to fly if we want to find them. Sima Yuyang said. It's a good thing that we have many flying beasts and they're not slow either. If we travel day and night, it shouldn't take too much time. Sima Yuming said. Then let's go look for them now. Wait. Sima Yulin called out to stop them. What's wrong, Yulin? Everyone looked at him and he waved his hands at them. After that, he bowed deeply to the white bone, saying, Many thanks to this senior for giving us this opportunity. We have no way of repaying you, but we will bury you in peace. When he did this, the others followed suit and bowed. Sima Yulin stood up and let everyone out. However, he did not bury the white bone in peace. Yulin? Sima Yuqing looked at Sima Yulin. Sima Yulin did not say anything. Instead, he went outside and began to break the array, collecting all the borrowed spirit stones. Once he had completely broken the array, everyone felt that the faint mist that had enveloped the mountain peak had disappeared. They stood in front of the mountain, and Sima Yulin bowed once again. After that, he condensed his spiritual qi and attacked the mountain peak. After a few continuous attacks, the entire mountain peak collapsed. The mound that rose up was like a huge tomb. Let's go. He called out his flying beast and led the others towards Sima Yuyu's direction. Tens of thousands of miles away, Sima Yuyu was leading the Divine Devil Valley's men to battle with a group of people. Those people were merely the followers of Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion, but their numbers were not small. The result of the battle was not surprising. However, Sima Yuyu and the others found out an even more shocking news from the mouths of the other party. Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave knew that the Divine Devil Valley's men had begun to counterattack. They had roped in a few people and they were not weak. They had gathered at least tens of thousands of people to deal with them. Sima Yuyu pursed her lips when she heard this. She sighed, the ancients were right. This world lacks everything, but it does not lack people. Hearing her sigh, Yun Yi and the others laughed, saying, This time many people from different continents have come in. Every 100,000 there will be 80,000. They have gathered tens of thousands, so it's not too exaggerated. Then why don't we have so many people? Sima Yuyu looked at their camp. Other than the Yun clan, Gua clan, Divine Devil Valley and Moonbow clan, there were only a few people from the Yilin continent left. There are many reasons. Shin Rao said, the Sage Pavilion is different from other powers. They have many pavilions in different continents, and their positions are very high. Those people from different continents usually submit to the Sage Pavilion's power. Now that the Sage Pavilion has gathered their forces, those who understand the Sage Pavilion will naturally follow them. Furthermore, the news of the Sage Pavilion having a sacred beast has already spread throughout the little realm. Everyone knows that having a sacred beast is basically a foregone conclusion. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave's gathering of people is just icing on the cake. They just want to show their faces. Yun Feng said. Sai, everyone knows how to develop their forces below. Why do you all only care about your little plot of land above? Sima Yuyu sighed. This might have something to do with the mental cultivation method that they cultivate in the later stages. Xiao Ye said, I once heard Master say that the Sage Pavilion's mental cultivation method seems to be able to use the power of belief to advance. The more believers they have, the more power they will gain. That's why they need to continuously develop the people below. Since the Sage Pavilion and Divine Devil Valley are not on good terms, then how did Senior Brother become a holy son? Sima Yu did not understand. Furthermore, it seemed that he was not an ordinary holy son. It seemed that his position in the Sage Pavilion was rather high. Yuni shook her head, saying, We're not sure about this either. I heard that the Sage Pavilion's Pavilion Master personally came to the Divine Devil Valley to pick him up. Chapter 372. Sima Yuyu's heart skipped a beat. It was actually the Sage Pavilion's pavilion master who personally went to fetch her? The relationship between the Divine Devil Valley and the Sage Pavilion wasn't that good, so why did the pavilion master want to keep Wu Lingyu by his side? He even made him the holy son of the Sage Pavilion, a position that was even higher than the pavilion master of a normal pavilion. In particular, he had personally gone to pick up Wu Lingyu, which showed how much he valued him. For some reason she felt that there was something fishy going on. But now that he couldn't think of anything, he simply suppressed this question in his heart. The members of the Moonbow clan have rested enough. Let's continue on our way. Sima Yue said. Should we continue walking in the same direction? Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yue took out the jade and looked at it. She realized that the red dot was actually moving. She said, let's go and pick up Big Brother and the rest first. We'll talk about it after we've picked them up. They've come out? Sima Yue asked. Earlier on, they had taken out jade stones to observe the other party's movements, but Sima Yulin and the others had not moved at all. That was why they guessed that they were in closed-door cultivation. Yes, they are moving. Sima Yue nodded. Let's go and pick them up. The group of them changed their direction slightly and flew towards where Sima Yulin and the others were. On the other side, the few of them traveled day and night. A few days later, when Sima Yulin took out the jade stone, Sima Yu was already not far from them. Yu and the others are rushing towards us. Sima Yang said. Then it won't be long before we meet. Sima Yuqing said, I wonder how many months have passed. Yu and the others have changed. I don't know if they have the same luck as us. Sima Yuming said. My intuition tells me that Yu will continue to leave us a few streets behind. Sima Yang said. You'll know when you see him. Sima Yulin didn't try to guess, but he also felt that Sima Yu must have met with some kind of opportunity. After all, her luck was so good. After a few more days passed, the two parties finally met. When the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan saw Sima Yu and the others, they were curious as to why Sima Yu had traveled so far to receive them. When they were flying here, they didn't know that Sima Yu was going to pick someone up. They thought that they had found people from the Cloud Cave. They only found out about Sima Yu's motive when they contacted each other just now. Fifth brother. Yue. Big brother. When the two groups of people met, both sides had things they wanted to say to each other. And so, Sima Yue threw the people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan to one side, and the group of people went to the side to meet up. You've advanced to Spirit Paragon. Sima Yulin looked at Sima Yu and said with certainty. You've also risen to level 4 Spirit Emperor. Sima Yue said. What, you've actually advanced to Spirit Paragon? Weren't you just a level 5 Spirit Saint? Sima Yu cried out in shock and drew the attention of the people nearby. The people from the Divine Devil Valley already knew about this, but they were still shocked when they heard it again. The people from the Moonbow clan were not calm at all. They asked the people from the Divine Devil Valley whether it was true or not. When they received a positive answer, the beautiful ladies and handsome men were stunned. Their surprise was not limited to this. Their attention involuntarily drifted to the other side. From Sima Yulin and the others' conversation, they found out that the few of them had all grown by 2 to 3 ranks in the past 10 months. This kind of talent was extremely rare in the higher realms, but that group of people were all like this. As expected, those who are with the Junior Valley Master are not ordinary people. Shin Rao's mouth twitched and he was not calm at all. The others nodded their heads in agreement. Sima Yue did not care about their reactions, and asked Sima Yulin about what happened after they separated. She found out that they had found a place similar to the Snow Wolf clan's place to cultivate, and had been in closed-door cultivation until recently. Only then did she heave a sigh of relief. After that, she told them about what had happened, and even told them about the current situation. It's a good thing you didn't meet those people. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to answer to the old fox and the others. She said. Although we didn't meet them directly, we saw 2 groups of people fighting from afar. I don't know if it's the people you're talking about. Sima Yang said. At that time they had sensed danger in front of them, so they did not go over. Instead they hid at the side and watched. Sima Yue asked about the characteristics of those people, then called Uni and the others over. Once they asked, they found out that they were from the Cloud Cave and another sect above. It was just that they were from a smaller sect. Looks like the Cloud Cave is not just targeting us this time. They are also hunting down people from smaller sections. Qiao Ye's expression was serious. They are so fearless. I think they have something else to rely on other than the Sage Pavilion. Could it be from the top? Shin Rao guessed. It's hard to say. The top usually doesn't interfere with the things below. It's said that there is an agreement. But we don't know what the truth is. Xiao Ye said. Talk. There is a continent above the primordial lands? Sima Yue asked. Oh. Xin Rao said. This is a division of the upper regions. The top is what we call the other regions. Actually, we are all in the same continent. Oh. Sima Yue said. This division is also based on strength, right? Yes, the region we are in is divided into the outer region, central region and inner region. The outer region is where the ordinary forces gather. We are in the central region. The upper region we are talking about is the inner region. Xiaoya explained. Sima Yue caught the point in her words. The region they were in meant that there might be other regions. She really wanted to say, damn it, how big was this world? But she didn't ask this. Otherwise it might hurt everyone's confidence. There are still 2 months before we leave. We have to make good use of these 2 months. We have to make them regret touching our people. Sima Yue said. Then she looked at Xin Rao and the rest and said, I think you have a way to find out where those people are? Don't bother about the gathered forces. We just have to take care of the main people. Okay. Xin Rao nodded. His eyes were filled with excitement. They were finally going to fight back. In the following month, the people from Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave would receive news from time to time that the people from Divine Devil Valley were exterminated. The people who were brought out by Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were all annihilated. The people from Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were so angry that they almost vomited blood. On this day in a valley, a few people rushed over. Seeing the people guarding outside, they asked anxiously, Is Holy Sun Yi still not out of seclusion? Not yet. The guard said. We have already come 3 times this month. Aren't you tired? When the Holy Sun comes out, he will naturally look for you. You should leave now. Chapter 373. Although the other party's rejection was straightforward, the other party had no intention of leaving. May I know how long it will take for the Holy Sun to come out of seclusion? Another person asked anxiously. My family's Holy Sun has obtained a fortuitous encounter this time, and his strength has increased quite a bit. This time he's trying to break through to the 9th level of Spirit Paragon. The guard said, If he succeeds, then my family's Holy Sun won't be far from the divine rank. The Holy Sun is only 80 years old, but he's already about to advance to the 9th level of Spirit Venerable. Then he'll definitely be able to advance to the divine rank before he's 100 years old. The person who came said in surprise. That's why no one can disturb him at such a crucial time. No one knows when he will successfully advance, so I say that you guys shouldn't wait here. The guard said. But, I see that you are the followers of the young cave master of the Cloud Cave? Why aren't you serving your young cave master properly? Why do you come looking for our Holy Sun every now and then? Another guard recognized the person. He had followed the Holy Sun to meet the young cave master before. We were called here by the young cave master. One of them said, We were originally going to exterminate the men from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan. However, for some unknown reason we recently received news that Zhong Hai and Zhong Quan were both killed. Furthermore, the men that they had brought with them were all wiped out. Not a single one of them returned. You're saying that not only did the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan not die, they even killed all the people they brought with them? The guard asked. They had been guarding the Holy Sun for more than a month and did not pay much attention to the outside world. They did not know that the situation outside had completely changed. Not only that, many of your Sage Pavilion's people have died as well, but most of them are from the lower realms branches. What? You actually dare to kill a member of my Sage Pavilion? That guard roared and was glared at by another guard. What if the saint was disturbed by such a loud noise? What happened? A voice suddenly cut in. Following that, a handsome man dressed in white walked out from the cave behind them and looked at them. Holy Sun, you've come out? The guard saw Yi Yufan and bowed respectfully. Yes. Yi Yufan nodded and repeated his question. You said that someone killed a disciple of the Sage Pavilion. What happened? Your Highness, it's like this. The 2 people from the Cloud Cave told him about the recent situation and emphasized on the fact that the disciples of the Sage Pavilion were killed. Finally, they told him the purpose of their trip. Your Highness, our junior Valley Master said that there are experts like Uni in the Divine Devil Valley. Only you can deal with them now. After Yi Yufan listened to the people of Cloud Cave, he was not flattered by their compliments, but he was still very angry about this matter, because the people of Sage Pavilion were killed. He was now the person with the highest position here, and was also the person with the strongest power. If he didn't care after killing the people of the Sage Pavilion, how could he lead the others? What's more, taking advantage of this opportunity to kill off the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan was an order given to him by his superiors, and he had to complete it. Otherwise, he would not have been given a sacred beast to form a contract with. To put it bluntly, this sacred beast was given to him to deal with the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan. Where are they now? He asked in a deep voice. We have already grasped their whereabouts. The people of Cloud Cave said. Where is your young cave master? Hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from here. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers was not very far. However, Yi Yufan did not immediately go to find the young cave master, but sent his men back to where the Sage Pavilion's main forces were, which was half a day's distance from here. Holy Son, you've come out of seclusion. Welcome back, Your Highness. Yufan, congratulations on your successful promotion. A person who was close to Yi Yufan walked over and said with a smile. Luqi, how is the situation in the Sage Pavilion now? Yi Yufan asked. Luqi looked at the thousands of tents on the plains and said, the people from the other continents besides those who died, are all here. They have gathered their strength in other places. Many died? Yi Yufan frowned. A few hundred. Luqi's expression was very bad. Because many people have died recently, I have not allowed them to go out in this period of time. Are there many of them? Yi Yufan asked. No. It's still the same people as before, but the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan are together. There are also people from another lower continent. Luqi replied. Another continent? How many people are there? More than 10. More than 10, what's there to say? But those 10 people are all very strong, even stronger than the people from the upper continents. A few of them can fight above their level. Luqi said, and Yi Yufan saw that Luqi was hesitating, and knew that he was uncertain about what he was going to say. He said, and what? And the news that they sent back said that the people from the Divine Devil Valley called one of them Junior Valley Master. Luqi gathered his courage and said, what? Are you telling the truth? Yi Yufan looked very gentle, and even if he was very surprised, his surprise and shock was very pleasing to the eye. When I heard that, I was very shocked too. After all, the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley had always been Ying Bai Chuan. When did he become someone from this lower continent? After that, I thought that the Divine Devil Valley had 2 Junior Valley Masters. Could this be another Junior Valley Master? Luqi guessed. It's possible. Yi Yufan agreed with this point, but he still had doubts in his heart. But when did the Divine Devil Valley have a second Junior Valley Master? And he came from the lower continents. Only the people from the Divine Devil Valley know about this. Luqi said. Let's not care about those people. There are only 2 months left. We have to kill them all before we go out. If not, it will mess up the pavilion's plans. Yi Yufan said. We already know their whereabouts. Previously, they had Uni who was at the peak of the Spirit Paragon level. We didn't make a move until you came out. Luqi said, now I will go and gather the people from the other powers. Okay. Not far from the plains, Sima Yue and Uni stood facing the wind. Buzz 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 dash, a bee flew over from afar and landed on Sima Yue's palm. It buzzed and said something to her. After a while, Sima Yue raised her hand gently and the bee flew away. Yue, what's the news? Wu Pei Pei asked. Sima Yue smiled and said, Yi Yufan has come out of seclusion. The Sage Pavilion is preparing to gather everyone to deal with us. Then let's take advantage of the fact that they haven't gathered everyone and kill them. Fatty Chu said. What's the rush? Sima Yue patted Fatty Chu's shoulder and said, we have to wait. Wait until they gather everyone, then we can kill them all in one go. We don't have to find them one by one. Chapter 374. Since Sima Yue had said so, the others had no objections. They were all interested in Sima Yue's scarlet bees. Junior Valley Master, the last time the second Valley Lord came back, he boasted to the people in the valley that he had obtained many scarlet bees. He even went to other places to show off. These scarlet bees came from you, right? Shin Rao said with a smile. Master even went up to show off? Sima Yue pursed her lips. She did not expect the old man to have such a hobby. Isn't that so? The last time he saw someone else get a scarlet bee from who knows where, he was extremely envious. Now that he has so many, he will definitely show it off to others. Uni said with a smile. How embarrassing. Sima Yue facepalmed. But other people treat their scarlet bees like treasures. Only you would use them as a tool to eavesdrop, Xiaoye said with a smile. After interacting with Sima Yue for a while, they were already familiar with each other and were no longer as distant as before. Alright, since they are in a hurry, let's go along with their wishes. Let's go back to rest and wait for them to come to us. Sima Yue stretched herself. Apparently, she was not worried about the upcoming battle. Yue, if we wait for them to gather all their people before we attack, they have over 10,000 people. Although everyone's strength is not weak, but we have limited numbers. If Halcyon and Yi Yu Fan meet, we may not be able to defeat them. After all, the difference in numbers is too great. Don't worry, there will be a lot of us. Sima Yue said confidently and strode towards the resting area. Seeing her like this, everyone couldn't say anything more and could only follow her back. Thus, for the next few days, everyone rested where they were, ate, drank and slept. Being led by Fatty Chu and the others, they did not have the heart to fight. But the people from the Divine Devil Valley didn't stay idle after eating, drinking and sleeping to their fill. Everyone started to refine pills. Pills for healing injuries and recovery of spirit chi were refined one by one. The Moonbo clan, the Yun clan, and the Guo clan all received quite a few pills as well. Of course, they also paid a certain price to show their sincerity. By the time she finished refining the pills, the other party had yet to bring his men to kill them. Sima Yu could not sit still any longer. She brought a group of people and began to search for treasures nearby. All the aged herbs were kept in her interspatial ring. Sima Yulin and the others couldn't bear to look at her when they saw how she wouldn't let a single herb go. If they didn't know that there were so many medicinal herbs in the Spirit Pagoda, they would really be like the people from the Divine Devil Valley, thinking that she was a pauper who lacked medicinal herbs. After sweeping through the surroundings, Sima Yue and the others finally saw the people from the Sage Pavilion. Yi Yu Fan had brought tens of thousands of people with him. It seemed like he knew that the people from the Divine Devil Valley were here. Sima Yue and the rest had already found out about these people's strength and plans through the Scarlet Bee's communication. The other party knew that they were all here, and in order to be safe, they decided to gang up on them and kill them. The news of the enemy's invasion spread quickly, and everyone was ready to fight. Lu Qi followed beside Yi Yu Fan and saw a group of people standing on the plains. He frowned and said, "Yu Fan, why do I feel like something is wrong? They look like they're waiting for us. I feel like it's strange that they didn't panic at all when they saw us with so many people. They didn't even think of escaping." The young master of Cloud Cave said. It does look strange. Yi Yu Fan thought so too. But now they couldn't think too much. Since they had brought people here, they couldn't bring them back. Moreover, in the eyes of most people, the other party only had a few hundred people. Compared to the tens of thousands of people on their side, this number was nothing. What's more, they had a sacred beast on their side. As long as a sacred beast appeared, it didn't matter if the other party had a few hundred or a few thousand people. Senior, the other party has a lot of people. Can we hold on? Don't look at how the people from the Divine Devil Valley were fearlessly waiting for the people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave to come. In fact, they were all very afraid. Although Sima Yue also had a sacred beast, but if they were to fight with the sacred beast, how could they control them? In other words, they had a few hundred people to fight against tens of thousands of people? What's there to be afraid of? If the Junior Valley Master says there's no problem, then there's definitely no problem. Shin Rao trusted Sima Yue very much. After this period of time, he realized that Sima Yue wasn't someone who would joke about her own life and the lives of others. So if she said there would be no problem, then there wouldn't be a problem. Thinking about this, he was stunned. When did he start to trust the Junior Valley Master so much? And that trust came from the bottom of his heart. Ah, it's them. The Zhan family members who were not far from Yi Yu Fan shouted when they saw Sima Yue. You know them? Lu Qi asked. I've seen them before. The Zhan family member said, the man in the blue robe in the middle also has a sacred beast. And I heard Uni call him the Junior Valley Master. That's him? Yi Yu Fan narrowed his eyes as he looked at Sima Yue. He didn't think that he would meet someone who also had a sacred beast here. No wonder these people dare to be so fearless. Lu Qi said. No matter what sacred beast it is, we have to kill them today. Yi Yu Fan said, in a while I'll let my contracted beast get rid of the sacred beast. You guys take the opportunity to kill everyone here. Although Yi Yu Fan looked very gentle, but when he said this, the ruthlessness in his eyes was very different from the image that the Sage Pavilion gave people. The two sides met in the air, and for a moment no one spoke. After a long time, Yi Yu Fan spoke first. I heard that you also have a sacred beast? No wonder you dared to wait for us here. Yu Fan looked at Sima Yue and realized that this guy was younger than he thought. You flatter me. Sima Yue smiled confidently. I heard that you also have a sacred beast. No wonder you dared to come even though you knew that we were waiting for you. Then we'll have to see how much difference there is between them. Yu Fan said, but no matter what, we have the power to kill all of you in this period of time. Today the Holy Sun is here. You should know what's good for you and kill yourselves. Otherwise we'll kill you until you lose an arm or a leg. The Cloud Cave's young master flattered Yu Fan confidently. I'll return the same words to you. If you don't want to be torn to pieces, then kill yourselves obediently. Sima Yue said. Ah, what a joke. You only have a few hundred people and you want to tear us to pieces? The Sage Pavilion's people all roared with laughter. Who said we were going to fight you personally? Sima Yue said faintly. Chapter 375. Her words not only stunned the other party, but also the people on her side. If it wasn't them, could it be that there was someone else? But they didn't see anyone else coming. Ha ha ha. The young master of the Cloud Cave raised his head and laughed, as if he had never seen such a foolish person before. I heard that you are the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. I was wondering if this Junior Valley Master was similar to Ing Bai Chuan, but I didn't expect him to be a fool. If your people don't attack, are you going to conjure people out of thin air to fight us? Ha ha ha. The people behind him laughed as if she was really a fool. You're the idiot. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at them. Don't you see the two Beast Kings beside me? Humph, so what if you have a Beast King? Don't think we don't know that their tribe is very far from here. I'm afraid you can't even summon them over. The Zhan family knew that the Snow Wolf tribe's tribe was very far from here. Don't waste time talking to them. Let's end this quickly, Yu Fan said as he summoned his contracted beast. It was a two-headed python. Although it was a second-rank sacred beast, it had yet to transform into a human form. Chongming, go and play with them. Sima Yue said. Okay. Chongming nodded, then flew into the air and transformed into his body, fighting the two-headed python in the air. Metamorphosis Sacred Beast. The people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were very surprised. Previously, when Chongming was by her side, not a single one of them realized that it was a sacred beast. The other party is stronger than the two-headed python and is also its natural enemy. It seems that we can only delay it for a while. We must kill that man as soon as possible. Come at me together, Yu Fan ordered. Yes, Your Highness, we will definitely get rid of them as soon as possible. Everyone expressed their determination. Although they felt that it was a bit exaggerated to have tens of thousands of people fight against hundreds of people, they still prepared to attack together. Junior Valley Master, what should we do? Seeing that the other party was about to take action, the people from Divine Devil Valley felt a little guilty. What's the hurry? Let's just watch from here. My friends, come out. With a thought from Sima Yue, spirit beasts appeared in front of everyone like magic, forming a semicircle surrounding the people from the Sage Pavilion. So many spirit beasts. Damn, there are at least tens of thousands of them, right? Heavens, why are there suddenly so many spirit beasts? And they are all divine beasts. There are also many level 5 divine beasts and above. Sima Yue ignored the shock on both sides and said, this is the first thing I want you to do. Didn't you say that you haven't fought for a long time? Go, it's best if none of those people are left. Awu, roar. Rong He Gongyen let out a long roar and led his people to attack the enemy. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave, as well as the people who had gathered, were already stunned when they saw so many divine beasts. Before they could react, the two Beast Kings had already brought people to attack. Many people were directly torn into two halves and fell to the ground. Some people reacted, but the spirit beasts had already flown in front of them. Their physical bodies could not compare to the claws of the spirit beasts, and many people fell to the ground with injuries. The Snow Wolf clan was not as good at flying as the saber-toothed tigers, so many of the Snow Wolf clan landed on the ground and chased after the injured people. The people from Divine Devil Valley and Moonbow clans stared with wide eyes at the scene in front of them. They had thought that there would be a huge battle, but they had only stood there and watched from the beginning. No wonder she was so confident. So this was her trump card. At the same time, everyone looked at Sima Yue with resentment. The Junior Valley Master was really too much. He obviously had such a huge trump card, but he didn't tell them in advance, causing them to be so worried. In less than half an hour, the tens of thousands of people were all killed. Even the Holy Sun and the young cave master did not last long. This was a massacre without any suspense. Yue, we've killed them all. Gong Yin and Rong Yu reported. Sima Yue pursed her lips. These guys had not only been killed, they had been torn to shreds. These tens of thousands of people had all died without a complete corpse. They had either been torn into two halves, missing an arm or a leg, or even decapitated. Over 10,000 corpses like this, it was really disgusting. With a wave of her hand, she kept all the spirit beasts into her spirit pagoda. This time she even kept the two beast kings. Boom! Before they could say anything, a thunderous boom rang out in the sky, and an incomparably terrifying aura pressed down on them. What's going on? Everyone raised their heads to look. A vortex had appeared in the sky, and that vortex was quickly converging, slowly forming a passageway. Could it be that the battle just now caused the passageway to open earlier? Yuni said in shock. Why are there two passageways? Isn't the passageway outside where we came from? Guofu cried out. The other place is also the primordial lance. Shinrao said. Looks like this is our passageway back. Qiaoye said. Why isn't there a passageway to the Yilin continent? Someone cried out. It was only then that everyone realized that there was no passageway to the Yilin continent. They looked at Sima Yue and the others strangely. We didn't come in through the normal passageway in the first place. Sima Yue said as she took out the compass and inserted her spirit energy. That compass flew into the sky, and just as it formed a passageway, it fell down. This caused her expression to change. What's wrong? Seeing that her expression was not right, everyone was in a hurry to leave. It could be that the battle between Chongming and the sacred beast just now affected the space here. This compass can't be used. Sima Yue said, the passageway to the Yilin continent can't be opened. Then what do we do? Sima Yuqing said worriedly. Sima Yue looked at the passageway above her head and said, the only way is to try these two passageways. I don't know if we'll be able to pass. We can only try. Since this is the case, Junior Valley Master, you should follow us back to the valley, Shinrao said. Although Sima Yue did not think of going there so early, she had no choice now. But when they flew towards the exit, the Divine Devil Valley and the others easily entered. However, Sima Yue and the others were blocked outside. Looks like we won't be able to go to the primordial lands, Sima Yue said. Then let's try going to our side, Guo Pei Pei said. I'll try first, Sima Yulin said as he flew up. He entered without meeting any obstacles. Looks like it'll work. I'll chase after him, Yun Feng said as he entered. Shinrao, you should go back. When you go back, get someone to go to the Yilin continent and tell my grandfather and the others that we're safe. We'll think of a way to go back, Sima Yue said. Junior Valley Master, don't worry. We'll definitely do it, Shinrao promised. Everyone, let's go. The passageway is about to close. Everyone raised their heads and saw that the passageway was indeed fading. A group of people quickly flew in. Sima Yue led everyone and followed the Guo clan into the passageway to the restless continent. The Yun clan followed behind them. The passageway closed after everyone entered. Chapter 376. Sima Yue felt as though her entire body was being torn apart. She was sure that the others were not feeling too well either. It seemed that the passageway wasn't that stable. Bang, 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 the sound of water splashing could be heard as the group was thrown into a lake. Cough, cough, Sima Yue came out of the water and wiped the water off her body. She could not help but curse. He was thrown into the water when he went in, and he was thrown into the water when he came out. Is everyone all right? Guo Pei Pei popped out and asked the people around her. I'm fine. Let's go to the shore, Sima Yue said. Fortunately, they were not far from the shore and soon swam to the shore. Why are there fewer people? Wei Ziqi saw that there were not enough people, especially those from the Yun family. There were only 2 or 3 people with them. This passageway is moving. If the time difference is too long, it will appear in different places. Guo Pei Pei's impressive figure became even more prominent because of her wet clothes. She quickly used her spiritual energy to evaporate the water on her body and returned to her normal appearance. Yulin and Yun Feng aren't here either, Fatty Chu said. Don't worry, Yun Feng knew that Yulin would be teleported somewhere else, that's why he chased after him. They haven't been separated for long, so they should have been sent to the same place, Guo Pei Pei said. Is this the restless continent? As expected, the spiritual qi here is much denser than where we are. Sima Yuqing sensed it and her eyes were filled with envy. That's right, it's no wonder the people here are generally stronger than us. Sima Yuyang said. Yu, we're going home now. Why don't you come with us? Guo Pei Pei said. You saved us. We'll repay you. Do you know how to get to the Yilin continent? Sima Yue asked. We don't know, but I think the old ancestor and the others might know. Guo Pei Pei said. We're not familiar with this place, so we can only trouble you guys. Sima Yue said. What about you, Yulin? Sima Yulan asked. The Yun family and our Guo family are not far from each other. I think that if Yun Feng did not bring him back to the Yun family, he would have sent him to our family. Guo Pei Pei said. Moreover, I think that he would have guessed that you were at our place and would come looking for you. If he doesn't come after a long time, we'll go look for him. Sima Yu took out the jade stone and looked at it. Sima Yulin was really far away from her. We can find our way back before he returns. Then let's go. We're still quite far from the city. Guo Pei Pei said. Everyone sat on the flying beasts and flew for 2 days before they saw a city, which showed how big the restless continent was. They went to the Spirit Master Guild and used the teleportation array to go to another medium-sized city. Then they went to the city where the Guo family was located. Sima Yue started vomiting as soon as she stepped out of the teleportation portal, which shocked the Guo family. Guo Fu laughed and teased her. Not at all. You're so strong and you're also an array master, but you fainted in this teleportation array. Sima Yu waved her hand, looking like she was suffering unspeakably. The teleportation array here was much better than the one in the Yilin continent, but because it was so far away she still felt terrible. Sima Yuqing patted her on the back, saying, The first time I saw her, we used the teleportation array as well. At that time I was so happy to see her faint. Looks like we can only stay in the city today. Guo Pei Pei saw Sima Yue in this state and brought them to the inn that the Guo family opened in the city. The innkeeper saw that Guo Pei Pei and the others had returned and immediately came out from behind the counter. He bowed and said, Young miss, didn't you go to the little realm? Why are you back before it's time? Something happened, so the portal opened early. Guo Pei Pei said, Go and prepare some rooms. We'll be resting here today. Yes, young Mississippi, the innkeeper quickly prepared the rooms. He gave the key to the best room to Guo Pei Pei, but Guo Pei Pei turned around and handed it to Sima Yuran and the others who were supporting Sima Yue. You can take her to rest first. Guo Pei Pei said. Okay. Sima Yuran took the key and brought Sima Yue to rest according to the room number on the key. The others followed the waiter to the backyard, leaving Guo Pei Pei and the innkeeper behind to give some instructions. Young miss, who is that? The innkeeper asked curiously. That was the sky room. Normally it was not open to the public. Only the young master and young mistress of the Guo family could stay there. However, Guo Pei Pei had given it to that sickly person. This made him very curious about that person. He is the benefactor of our Guo family. If not for him, our Guo family would not have been able to make it out alive. Guo Pei Pei said, furthermore, his status is extremely high. Get people to take care of him carefully. Do you understand? Guo Pei Pei instructed. Yes, young Mississippi, the innkeeper replied. Guo Pei Pei called Guo Fu over, saying, Hurry back to the clan first. Tell my father about what happened in the little realm. Tell him to be wary of the Zhan family. I'll wait for you to get better before bringing them back. Yes, big sister. Guo Fu did not delay at all. She brought Guo Liang and the others and left. Although the Guo family was said to be the biggest family here, their main house was not in the city. Instead, it was in the outskirts of the city. After leaving the city, it was half a day's journey by flying beast. Just as Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the restless continent, the people from the primordial lands were also returning. Unlike other continents, the primordial lands' passageways were fixed. Although the locations of the little realms were different, there was only one exit. Some of the sect's people were already waiting outside. They were prepared to bring their own people back. After all, they were people below the divine rank. If they met with any trouble on the way back, they would just play around. It's open, someone said. Everyone saw a spatial passageway slowly opening on the mountain peak. Disciples came out one after another. When they saw their own sects, they hurried over to avoid being killed by accident. They also told their sects about their encounters inside. The people from the Cloud Cave and the Divine Devil Valley were not far from each other. The people from the Cloud Cave glanced over and said faintly, Many people die every time they enter this little realm. Tsing Cheng, do you think all the people from the Divine Devil Valley died in there? Tsing Cheng was the leader of the Divine Devil Valley. Hearing the provocation from the cloud cave, he raised his eyebrows and said, "You're right. Maybe all the people from the cloud cave died. When that time comes, we will definitely feel sorry for you. Who knows who will die in there?" The person from the cloud cave did not say anything else. If he said too much, he might give himself away. Time passed slowly. A few thousand people came out. However, there were no people from the Divine Devil Valley or the Moonbow clan. When the people from the two sects saw the smiles on the faces of the cloud cave, they seemed to have guessed something. Chapter 377. Was it really like what the people of the cloud cave said, that all of their people had died inside? Judging from the cloud cave people's expressions, they seemed to be very sure that their people had come out. Sing Ching, do you think they did something? As far as I know, quite a few of them have entered. The leader of the Moonbow clan said to Tseng Cheng. Tseng Cheng looked at those people unhappily and said, "If they really dare to do anything, the Divine Devil Valley will not let them off. The tunnel is about to close." The members of the Moonbow clan said worriedly as they watched the tunnel fade. Those who wanted to come out should have already come out. Other than us, the people from Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion have not come out. Sing Ching said. Could it be that something happened this time? The members of the Moonbow clan were all very worried. I hope not. Not only were the members of the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan worried, even the members of the Sage Pavilion and the White Cloud Cave were worried, because none of their members had come out. Could it be that something really happened? But that wasn't right. The two sects combined had far more people than the demonic god sect in the Moonbow clan. Yu Fan also had a sacred beast. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any accidents. However, there were always so many accidents, and this accident caused them to suffer heavy losses. The tunnel is about to disappear. Someone is coming out. Someone shouted, and everyone turned to look at the entrance of the passage. This was especially true for the Divine Devil Valley, Moonbow clan, Cloud Cave, and Sage Pavilion, who had yet to receive anyone. They stared at the exit so hard that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Uni led the members of the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan out of the tunnel just as it was about to close. The people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan were extremely happy, while the people from the Sage Pavilion and the White Cloud Cave were extremely shocked and furious. They said that they were going to deal with the Divine Devil Valley's people. Now that they had come out and their own people hadn't come out, this meant that their own people had been killed by them. Aya, what you said just now was right. There really are people inside who can't come out. Fortunately, it's not our people. Tseng Ching said with a big laugh. Greetings to the 10th Elder of the Outer Valley. Uni brought everyone to the Divine Devil Valley's position and greeted Tseng Cheng. You guys came out so late, you really worried us to death. Tseng Ching said as he patted their shoulders. Granny Cloud. Xiaoya led her people in greeting towards the Moonbow clan members. Are you guys okay? Why did you come out so late? Granny Yun looked at Xiaoya and the others lovingly. Yes, I was delayed by something. Xiaoya said. Is it because you didn't know that the passage would open in advance, so you didn't have time to come out? Granny Yun asked. No, it's something else, said Xiaoya. How could that be? Why didn't any of our men come out? Cloud Cave's people said in disbelief, seeing the Divine Devil Valley's people reporting their safety. They said angrily, Did you kill all of our people? It must be you. Uni glanced at him indifferently and said, The little world is so big and there are so many people inside. You're sure that we killed your people, but do you know that your people will definitely find us? I heard that the number of people from your Cloud Cave is 3 times more than ours. What, are they looking for trouble inside? Seng Tai stared at the people of Cloud Cave and said, Whether there is or not, I think the people of Cloud Cave should know. Uni said. Yumph. Let's go back. Cloud Cave's people shouted at the people behind them and leaped away. Although the people from the Sage Pavilion didn't say anything, they saw that the people from the Divine Devil Valley were not looking good, and left after looking at them. The people from the other powers left after receiving their own people. Now that the passage was completely closed, even if there were people inside they couldn't come out, and so they all left. When only the people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan were left, Sung Ching stopped smiling and asked, What happened? We were attacked by the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion together, and we lost a portion of our people. Uni said. And the Sage Pavilion gave Yu Fan a sacred beast, and we were almost completely wiped out. Xiaoya added. Sacred beast? Everyone was shocked. Only people below the divine rank were allowed to enter. If there really was a sacred beast, how did they survive? I didn't think that the Sage Pavilion would dare to do such a thing. Granny Yun said hatefully. Do they really think that they are strong just because they have more people? Cloud Cave as well. If they really want to fight, my Moonbo clan will not be bullied. Compared to Granny Yun's anger, Sung Ching was more rational. He said, since they have more people than you and they have a sacred beast, how did you all escape? Why didn't any of them come out? It's all thanks to the Junior Valley Master. If not for him, the ones who came out now would be the people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave. Yuni said. Junior Valley Master? Ing Bai Chuan? Wasn't he not allowed to enter? Granny Yun, it wasn't Ing Bai Chuan, it was another Junior Valley Master. Xiao Ye said. Could it be the second Valley Lord's disciple? Sing Ching said. That's right. She was the one who saved us first, and then killed the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave's other forces that they had gathered. How did you meet him? Hurry up and tell us everything that happened. Sung Ching was a little confused as he said. Thus, they recounted how they had been chased down and how Sima Yue had gracefully appeared out of nowhere and saved them all. Then, how she had saved the people from the Moonbo clan, and how she had killed the 10,000 people. Haha, this Junior Valley Master is so domineering. Sung Tai laughed loudly after hearing everything. The other party had wanted to use this opportunity to kill their younger generation, but they had not expected that all of their own people would be killed. At the same time, his eyes were filled with anger. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave really wanted to start a fight. The battle between the two sacred beasts affected the space inside. It's no wonder that the passage opened earlier. Granny Yun said, this time we really have to thank you all. If you were your Junior Valley Master, our people would be in danger. Ah, well said. Sung Ching said, Granny Yun, this time, our Divine Devil Valley will not let this matter rest. What does your Moonbo clan say? Do you think they can kill our people just because they want to? Granny Yun snorted coldly, wait for us to go back and report to the sect master. If there is a decision, we will let you know. Alright, I will also go back and report to the Valley Lord and the others. Sing Ching said. Goodbye. Granny Yun brought Xiaoya and the others and left. Sung Ching also brought Yuni and the others back to the Divine Devil Valley to report to the Valley Lord. The other disciples of the Divine Devil Valley quickly found out about what had happened in the Little Realm. While they were furious, they were also curious about Sima Yue. They all hoped that they could meet their domineering Junior Valley Master soon. Chapter 378. Achoo. 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 Sima Yue, who everyone was thinking about, sneezed a few times on the bed. Thinking, scolding and nagging. Is someone nagging me? She rubbed her nose and said. Creak. The door opened and Bei Gong Tang walked in. Seeing a certain someone awake, she said, You've already slept for 2 days. Haven't you slept enough? Ah, sleeping is such a pleasant thing. Sima Yue stretched herself on the bed and placed her hands behind her head. She bent one leg and crossed the other. This time she slept for 2 days straight. Actually, it was not because she was dizzy from the teleportation array, but because she had never been so relaxed when she was in the Little Realm. When he was cultivating in the saber-toothed tiger tribe, he didn't rest for a moment for several months. He was constantly cultivating, and cultivating. If she stopped, she would feel the danger of her body being burned. Later on, after leaving the saber-toothed tiger's territory and leaving the Little Realm, although she didn't cultivate all the time, she didn't relax and rest either. It wasn't until they arrived here that she took the opportunity to rest. Ever since Bei Gong Tang met Sima Yue, she had never seen her sleep on the bed for such a long time. When she thought about how hard Yue had worked, she admitted that she couldn't compare to her. Bei Gong Tang sat at the bedside and looked at Sima Yue, who was dressed as a man. She sighed in her heart. When will you be able to change back to wearing female clothes like us? I think a lot of people will be charmed to death. When are you going to change back to women's clothes? Sima Yue was stunned. She had been asked this question before, but she had never thought about it seriously. She had always felt that since her father had specially instructed her to do this, it must be very important. However, she had never seriously thought about why her father would do this. She only felt that everything would be clear once she met her father. However, why did her father dress up as a man? And he even said that it would endanger his life? And where exactly was his father at this moment? Yue, what are you thinking about? Bei Gong Tang's voice pulled her back from her thoughts. Nothing. Sima Yue smiled and said, You didn't come here to ask me this, right? No. Bei Gong Tang said. I came to tell you that Guo Pei Pei said that her father personally came to bring you to the Guo clan as a guest. He's the head of the family, but when he found out that you were sleeping, he was eagerly waiting in the hall. The Guo family head came? Why didn't you call me? Sima Yue said. Didn't I come over as soon as I got the news? Bei Gong Tang shrugged. She had been in the house the entire time, so she didn't know. Sima Yu got up from the bed and entered the spirit pagoda to wash up before leaving with Bei Gong Tang. They went to the lobby of the inn and saw a middle-aged man sitting in the middle. Guo Pei Pei was sitting beside him, talking about something. Guo Pei Pei and her father Guo Si Ming stood up when they saw them. Yue, this is my father. Guo Pei Pei smiled and said, Father, she is Yue, the junior valley master of the Divine Devil Valley. I'm really sorry. I slept too much these 2 days. They didn't even inform me that Uncle Guo was coming. Sima Yue apologized to the two of them. I was the one who told them not to disturb you. Guo Si Ming said, I heard that you weren't feeling well. It wouldn't be good to disturb your rest. Uncle Guo, you don't have to call me little friend. Just call me by my name. Sima Yue said, Pei Pei and I are friends. You are naturally my elder. Since that's the case, I'll be thick-skinned and act as your elder. Guo Si Ming said. Yue, I told my father about what happened in the Little Realm. He asked you to stay there for a while and wait for Yulin to come back. Guo Pei Pei said. Does Uncle Guo know of any way for us to return to the Yilin continent? Sima Yue asked. I don't have a way either. But I think the older generation in the family might know. After all, we have to travel through space. I don't have the power to do that. Guo Si Ming said, You can stay in our residence and wait for your other companion. Then I'll have to trouble you. After a while, the Sima family came down and followed Guo Si Ming to the Guo residence in the suburbs. The Guo family knew about what happened in the Little Realm. Although they didn't know Sima Yue's identity, the Guo family was very grateful and courteous to them. Guo Si Ming specially prepared a large courtyard for them. After the 10 of them moved in, it was very spacious. At first, the Guo family would come to see them with the flag of gratitude. 2 days later, Sima Yue and the others expressed that they liked peace and quiet. Hence, Guo Si Ming ordered that the Guo family was not to disturb Sima Yue and the others. Since then, the courtyard had quieted down. After a few days, the Yun family head came to visit and requested to see Sima Yue. When Sima Yue heard the word request to see, she couldn't help but pursed her lips. She was really not used to this identity. Even the head of the family had to use this word to see her. Actually, she didn't know that to the people of the lower continents, even a random disciple would be treated with respect, let alone someone of her status. What's more, she was the future successor of a power. The Yun family head and the Yun family head were very similar in both appearance and temperament. However, in his eyes, there were more traces of age. Greetings to the Junior Valley Master. Yun Jinwei bowed to Sima Yue. Sima Yue was too lazy to be courteous now. She raised her hand and said, Yun family head is too courteous. May I know why you've come to find me today? She saw that the Yun family head had a worried look on his face, as if he was worried about something. Yun Jinwei looked at Sima Yue and said, I won't hide it from the Junior Valley Master. I've come this time to ask for a favor. At the same time, it concerns your companions. Is it because of Yulin and Yun Feng? Sima Yue asked. Yun Jinwei nodded and said, Yes. I heard that the Junior Valley Master and your companions can determine each other's location. I want to ask, is it still possible now? Sima Yue took out the jade and looked at it. She nodded and said, It's still possible. Did something happen to Yulin and the others? It's like this. A few years ago, made a soul lamp for Feng. He can use it to determine whether Feng is safe or not. However, recently we discovered that the soul lamp is flickering. Furthermore, they haven't returned since they left the Little Realm. That's why I'm worried that something has happened to them outside. I heard that you can determine their location, so I've specially come to ask the Junior Valley Master to help us find them. Soul lamp was a lamp made from a person's spiritual energy. If the soul lamp flickered, it meant that the owner was in danger and his life was at stake. Chapter 379. Knowing that Sima Yulin might be in danger, Sima Yu could no longer sit still. She did not need Yun Jinwei to say anything as she stood up and said, Let's go. Let me talk to Pepe and the others. Half an hour later, all the members of the Sima family left Guo Mansion together. Before leaving, Guo Siming said that he would try his best to find a way for them to go back. The Yun clansmen were already waiting in the city. Under Sima Yuyu's guidance, they rushed towards the south. After passing through a few teleportation arrays, they were not too far away from Sima Yulin and the others. However, Yun Jinwei had said that they were currently in a no-man's land, so they could only take flying beasts. Yu, will Yulin be alright? Sima Yuqing said worriedly. They had a good relationship with Yulin since they were young. If something happened to him, everyone would be very sad. Sima Yue looked at the jade stone in her hand. The dot on it was still moving, saying, "It's all right. It's not like we don't know Yulin's abilities. No matter how big the danger, he will definitely be able to overcome it." Sima Yuqing nodded, hoping that what Sima Yuyu said was true. Junior Valley Master, how far are we from them? Yun Jinwei asked. According to the current speed, it will take at least 2 more days. Sima Yue asked, Patriarch Yun, what exactly is that place? Why isn't there a teleportation array for such a long distance? That place is a dangerous place. Because the environment is too harsh, even those with god-level strength can't last more than a month inside. That's why it hasn't become a city yet. Yun Jinwei said. What's inside? Sima Yuyang asked. Most of them are swamps or mountain ranges. There is a poisonous miasma that has not dissipated for 10,000 years. There are also many poisonous spirit beasts. Yun Jinwei said, there are many divine beasts and even many sacred beasts. Sima Yue looked at the people she brought with her. There were quite a number of god-ranked and above people, but she wasn't sure if it would be enough. How did Yulin and the others get sent here? Sima Yuran asked. You just left a little earlier than us. You're so far behind, and you're so unlucky to have entered this place. Fatty Chu said. They rushed day and night, and after 2 days they were finally not far from Sima Yulin and the others. But they couldn't fly anymore because in front of them was a thick poison barrier that couldn't be dissolved. Yulin? Are you alright? Sima Yuyu took out the mother-son stone and tried to contact Sima Yulin. You? Sima Yulin's weak voice sounded. Although he was not in good condition, at least he was still alive. All the members of the Sima family smiled. Yulin, how are you now? Is Yun Feng with you? Sima Yue asked. Yun Feng is with me, but his current situation is worse than mine. Sima Yulin couldn't be bothered to ask why Sima Yuyu and the others were here, and told them about Yun Feng's situation. You guys wait inside, we'll come and save you immediately. Sima Yuyu said. You have to be careful, the poison here is too thick. You can't see anything after entering, and there are also strange poison beasts. Sima Yulin said. Okay, we got it. Hang in there. Sima Yuyu gave the mother-son stone to Sima Yuyang after she finished speaking, and got him to keep in contact with Sima Yulin outside, so that he could keep an eye on their situation. She took out an antidote pill and ate it, then tried to walk in to feel the poison. But before she could take 2 steps, she felt uncomfortable and had no choice but to retreat. What a strong poison. Yun clan leader, you guys try. Divine rank might be able to hold on a little longer. But Yun Jinwei didn't go far before he came back. Looks like ordinary people can't go in. Sima Yu said. Then what do we do? With such a strong poison, won't Yulin and the others die in there? Sima Yuqing said anxiously. Sima Yuyu thought about it and said, I have an idea. You guys wait for me here. As she spoke, she walked into the poison. The moment she entered, crimson flames surrounded her, burning away all the poison around her, forming a vacuum. What a high temperature. Yun Jinwei sighed when he felt the terrifying temperature. Perhaps only a flame like this could burn a path through such a dense poisonous miasma. Sima Yuyu went in 3 to 4 meters before she could no longer see her silhouette. Could be seen how thick the poison was. The jade stone was too close, so it was useless. But the visibility here was too low, and she didn't know where Sima Yulin was. Emo Sha, can you tell the direction here? She called Emo Sha out to ask. Emo Sha glanced at her and said, Follow me. Emo Sha led her in a direction and told her where there was a little swamp. After walking for a few tens of meters, he said, We're here. Sima Yuyu saw Sima Yulin and the others, one sitting and one lying down. There was a white circle around them that blocked the poison outside. Although Sima Yulin was weak and had many injuries on his body, he still had the strength to sit up. This meant that he was conscious. As for Yun Feng, he had already fainted. Yulin. She walked over and called out to Sima Yulin. Sima Yulin opened his eyes and saw Sima Yuyu surrounded by a ball of flame. His eyes shone with hope. Because Emo Sha was hidden in the poison, he wasn't seen. Yuyu, quickly save Yun Feng. Sima Yulin said. I'll take you guys out first. Sima Yuyu said, Remove the array, and I'll take you guys into the spirit pagoda. Yun Feng was already unconscious. Even if they went in, they wouldn't find anything. Okay. Sima Yulin didn't hesitate and immediately removed the array protecting them. Sima Yu brought them into the spirit pagoda at the same time. There are still people from the Yun clan waiting outside. I can't cure you now. You guys hold on for a while. Sima Yu said as she went out and got Mo Sha to take her out. When they were about to reach the edge of the poison, Mo Sha took back the devil snare bracelet. She called Sima Yulin and Yun Feng out and dragged them out. We're out. Are you guys okay? Feng? The people outside were extremely happy when they saw them come out. Sima Yu released Sima Yulin and Sima Yu and gave him a pill. After that, she placed Yun Feng on the ground and fed him a pill. She untied his clothes and took out a silver needle to perform acupuncture on him, expelling all the poison from his body. Once the poison was expelled, the pill in his body took effect and Yun Feng woke up. Sima Yu quickly removed the silver needles from his body. Then she took out another set and went to the side to treat Sima Yulin's poison. Feng, how did you get sent to a place like this? Yun Jinwei saw that Yun Feng had woken up and his heart finally calmed down. Yun Feng saw the situation clearly and knew that he was safe. He said solemnly, "Father, we weren't sent here. We were forced in." Chapter 380. What? Everyone was shocked. Who forced you inside? Yun Jinwei asked with a dark face. Yun Yi and Yun Feng were the two sons that he loved very much. Now, someone actually dared to do such a thing to them. If it weren't for Sima Yu bringing them along and bringing them out with that kind of flame, he would never have been able to see his youngest son again. It's the Zhan family. Yun Feng covered the wound on his arm and said, "After we came out, we were still some distance away from here. When we were preparing to find a teleportation array to return, we met the Zhan family before we entered the city. The other party was a divine-level expert, so we could only run. It was a good thing that Yulin had many teleportation arrays, allowing us to escape from his hands a few times. But in the end we were still forced into this place." Yun Feng made it sound simple, but everyone could imagine the soul-stirring battle and the despair of being at the end of the road. The needle in Sima Yu's hand paused. "The Zhan family? Good, very good," she said coldly as she continued to give Sima Yulin acupuncture. "After we entered the poisonous miasma, we chased them for a few steps and escaped. Then they waited outside for 2 days and left when they thought we were dead." Yun Feng continued, "It's a good thing that Yulin brought along quite a few antidote pills with him, as well as the protection of the array formation. It was able to fend off a certain degree of the poisonous gas. Otherwise we wouldn't have been able to last until now. The Zhan family is really bold." Yun Jinwei gritted his teeth and said, "Recently my Yun family has been keeping a low profile. Does the Zhan family really think that my Yun family is afraid of them? When we get back we'll start the plan. I want the Zhan family to cease to exist on this continent." Originally, when the disciples of the Yun family returned and told them about what happened in the Little Realm, the Yun family was already extremely angry. However, before they could make a decision to suppress the Zhan family, they learned that something had happened to Yun Feng. A group of people rushed over in a hurry. Now that he knew that his son was forced into the poisonous miasma by the Zhan family, he was furious and decided to destroy the Zhan family. "Count us in." Sima Yu's voice sounded. She had already finished her acupuncture. Although Sima Yulin still looked very weak, his life was no longer in danger. Yun Jinwei originally wanted to say that there was no need, but then he remembered that she had over 10,000 spirit beasts. Seeing their own people being bullied to the point of almost losing their lives, they would definitely be angry. He nodded and said, "All right, no problem. Although the poison in their bodies has been forced out, the condition of the two of them is not very good. Let's find a place to let them rest for 2 days." Sima Yu said, "At the same time, we can also understand the situation of the Zhan clan." "All right." Yun Jinwei was now extremely grateful to Sima Yu. Luckily she knew medicine. Otherwise, even if she saved them from the poison, she would not have been able to expel the poison and save them. Sima Yu called Little Rock out and got Sima Yang to help Sima Yulin up. Yun Jinwei helped Yun Feng onto his own flying beast. After the Yun family members had all boarded, the 2 flying beasts flew back in the direction they came from. After leaving the danger zone, they landed on a mountain and set up a tent for the 2 injured people to rest. After settling down, Sima Yue went to look for Yun Jinwei. Patriarch Yun, please tell us about the Zhan family's situation. Okay. It turned out that the Restless Continent and the Yilin Continent had different levels of power. The Zhan family, the Guo family and the Yun family used to be the three largest families. Among them, the Guo family and the Yun family were on good terms. Ever since the Zhan family's patriarch came to power, their relationship with the two families slowly deteriorated. Now, they even wanted to swallow the two families and become the most powerful family. The Zhan family was originally stronger than the Guo and Yun family. Later on, one of their elders became the deputy pavilion master of the Sage Pavilion. Many people joined the Sage Pavilion, so they became even more arrogant. Now that they had colluded with the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, they began to act against the Guo and Yun family. So you're saying that if we want to act, we will not only have to deal with the Zhan family but also the Sage Pavilion? Sima Yue asked. If the Sage Pavilion must protect the Zhan family. Yun Jinwei said. Regardless of the Sage Pavilion, the Zhan family dared to kill Yulin, so they must bear the consequences. If the Sage Pavilion insists on interfering, then we don't mind taking care of another group of people. Anyway, the Sage Pavilion wanted to kill my Divine Devil Valley's people in the Little Realm. This grudge has already been formed. Sima Yue snorted. How strong are the Zhan family and the Sage Pavilion? The Zhan family has more divine-ranked people than our two families. If we include the Sage Pavilion, they have at least 40 people. Yun Jinwei said. How many divine-ranked people do your two families have? Adding them together, we have 30 people. It shouldn't be more than 5. Yun Jinwei said, not only that, they have more spirit paragons than us. Looks like there's a huge disparity in power. Sima Yue said. If the Sage Pavilion doesn't interfere, we will definitely win. If they interfere, even if we have to destroy ourselves, we will drag them down with us. Yun Jinwei said hatefully. These few years, the Zhan family had become more and more arrogant. The Yun family had long wanted to retaliate. If it's possible, I hope that you don't get involved. Otherwise you'll be implicated. Yun Jinwei said. The Zhan family has already touched my bottom line. How can we retreat? Sima Yue said, I'll think of a way to deal with the remaining 10 over divine-ranked people. Yun family head, I still have some matters to attend to. I'll be heading out first. After leaving Yun Jinwei's tent, she found a quiet valley and called out Rong, Gong Yen and the elders. This is the outside world? The elders looked around. The scenery was not much different from the inside. I can't feel that layer of suppression. One of the elders said excitedly. Really? That means we can advance in rank. Haha, I can already feel the spirit chi in my body moving. Me too. I feel like I'm about to advance in rank. Sima Yue called out Chongming, and those people immediately quieted down. I've already brought you out according to our agreement. She looked at them and continued, to ensure that you won't go back on your words, swear. Swear? The elders were stunned. Why did they have to swear? Why do you want us to swear? You don't want to believe us. Some of the elders were unhappy. Of course it's to be safe. Sima Yue said, you haven't advanced in rank yet. If you all advance in rank and become sacred beasts, one Chongming may not be able to suppress you all. What if you go back on your words? Of course, to be fair, I'll swear as well. No, that's disrespectful to us. The elder of the saber-toothed tiger clan immediately rejected it. They had originally thought that when they advanced in rank to become sacred beasts, they would go back on their words and leave Sima Yue. If they swore, how could they leave? Sima Yue laughed coldly. It's fine if you don't want to. Anyway, you haven't advanced in rank to become sacred beasts. I can kill you all right now. Chapter 381. The elder who spoke felt his breathing become sluggish. Being stared at by Sima Yue, he felt a chill down his spine. The killing intent in her eyes was so strong that it could feel that if it insisted, she would definitely kill it without hesitation. Just like that time in the clan's land, Chongming had easily injured him. We agree, Rong said. We also agree. Gongyan's expression was not good. After all, his own clansmen were being threatened. Sima Yue looked at them and said, then swear. The elders all swore that they would follow Sima Yue for 100 years and be at her beck and call. Just as they finished speaking, a white light descended from heaven and earth and entered their bodies. This was the effect of the rules. If they violated their oath today, the rules of heaven and earth would kill them. Sima Yue also swore that she would set them free after 100 years. After the oath was sworn, the same laws descended and entered her body. Not only that, she also called out all the mythological beasts with strength above level 5 and made them swear an oath. Knowing that their king and clan elder had already made the oath, these divine beasts did not hesitate and followed suit. Yue, do you want us to stay by your side for the next 100 years? Rong asked. Although the place Sima Yue had given them allowed them to breathe, they could not cultivate like other places. They were unwilling to be delayed for 100 years because of this. Don't worry, I'll be going to the primordial lands soon. Once I'm there, I'll naturally find a good place for you to stay. Sima Yue said, if there's a need, I'll look for you. Rong nodded. That was good. Alright, you can all advance now. Sima Yue kept the spiritual beasts that were at the pinnacle of the divine beasts and kept the rest back into the spirit pagoda. Which one of you feel that you can break through to the sacred beast realm? She asked. The answer she got shocked her. There were actually more than 30 of them from the two races. Other than the elders and the beast kings, there were also quite a few who could have become sacred beasts a long time ago. Including 1,000 resonants, there are a total of 39 of them. You can cultivate here and feel the difference in the laws. Sima Yue said. All right. Although the spirit beasts did not know why Sima Yue left them here, they really scattered around the valley and felt the difference between this place and the little realm. Sima Yue took out an elixir furnace and herbs and started to make elixirs. The divinity elixir was not only useful for people at the peak of the spiritual venerable realm, but also for spiritual beasts. Although the herbs were hard to find and the refining process was difficult, the grade was not high. It was only 6th grade. She first contacted Bei Gong Tang and asked her to tell Yun Jin Wei and the others that she would be staying here for a few days. She then told them her location so that it would be easier for Bei Gong Tang and the others to find her. Then she began to refine the divinity pill. She had never concocted this pill before. In the beginning she had failed many times and wasted a lot of herbs. Fortunately, she had a lot of medicinal herbs which was enough for her to squander. This divinity elixir was indeed a heaven-defying elixir. The refinement process was so complicated that even she couldn't help but sigh. This failure rate could be said to be unprecedented. However, it was a good thing that her mental strength was strong. There were many times when she was on the verge of failure and saved the herbs in the furnace. 39 elixirs took her an entire 4 days to refine. She gave out the divinity elixirs to every spiritual beast, letting them eat it and advance in rank. Then she continued to refine them. 2 days later, 30 divinity elixirs came out of the furnace. 69 divinity elixirs, but the success rate was only 60%. She wasted 40% of the herbs. These few days she had spent at least a few billion worth of herbs. At the same time, the spiritual beasts had all successfully advanced to sacred beasts. 38 sacred beasts. Adding on her own 2, there were 40 of them. Even in the primordial lands, it was not easy to see such a scene. Are they all done? She asked Chongming. Chongming nodded, saying, they've all successfully advanced in rank. Not bad. Sima Yue said. Looking at 1,000 resonants who had already advanced to a sacred beast, she said happily, 1,000 resonants, you've already grown your 8th tail? That's great. If you want to transform, wait until this matter is over. I'll refine some pills for you. Okay, master. 1,000 resonants waved its 8 long tails and replied. It was very happy. Because by following her, it had advanced from a level 4 divine beast to a sacred beast in just a few years. Its strength had increased as easily as drinking water. And now that it had grown its 8th tail, its bloodline power had increased by quite a bit. Sima Yue looked at the other sacred beast. Snow Wolf King Rong walked over and said, thank you. Becoming a sacred beast had always been their dream. It was the pursuit of their ancestors. Now, it had finally been realized in their generation. And if not for her divinity elixirs, they might not have all successfully advanced in rank. You're welcome. Since we're all together now, I'll naturally think of you better. If your performance satisfies me, if any of your clansmen want to advance to a sacred beast, I can help. But if I'm not happy, I'd rather destroy these divinity elixirs than give them to you. Sima Yue said as she glanced at the saber-toothed tiger. It wasn't that she didn't know what the saber-toothed tiger was thinking. If they weren't willing to work for her, there was no need for her to give them these good things. After all, she was only good to herself. Alright, let's go back. She kept all the spirit beasts into the spirit pagoda, then sat on Little Rock and returned to the camp. Seeing her return, Bei Gong Tang walked over and said, you're finally back. If you didn't come back, I would have gone to look for you. What's the matter? She jumped down from Little Rock and asked. Yun clan head said that they found the person who was chasing after Yulin and the others. Bei Gong Tang said, but it looks like that person is about to leave, so we're preparing to make a move. Found? Where? In the city in front. Bei Gong Tang replied. All right. Fatty, go and tell Yun clan head that we can move at any time. Sima Yue said. Fatty, who was at the side, glanced at Sima Yue and muttered to himself as he went to the Yun clan. Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang returned to her tent. Bei Gong Tang saw that she was very tired and asked, What have you been doing these few days? You look so tired. Weren't you going to let those spirit beasts become sacred beasts? That's right. Sima Yue swallowed a drop of spirit fluid and said, To be safe, I refined a batch of divinity pills. I just finished refining them not too long ago. How are the results? Sima Yue smiled happily, saying, Although that pill is rather hard to refine, the effects aren't bad. With the saber-toothed tiger and snow wolf added together, we have a total of 38 sacred beasts. Thousand Resonance has also advanced in rank to become a sacred beast. Including Halcyon, we have 40 sacred beasts. Adding on those sacred beasts, even if we go against the Sage Pavilion and the Zhan clan, we won't be at a disadvantage. Chapter 382. Bei Gong Tang looked at the smile on Sima Yue's face and felt a little heartache, saying, Refining 60 divinity pills in 6 days must have been hard on you. It's a pity that my level isn't high enough to help you. Alright, what are you blaming yourself for? Sima Yue glared at her and said, I'll need you to do a lot of things in the future. When the time comes, you won't be able to escape even if you want to. At this moment, Fatty walked in and said, The Yun family is already packing up the tents. It will be ready soon. I'm going to pack mine too. With that, he went out again. I'm going too. Bei Gong Tang said as she walked out. Sima Yue only had a tent and a bed. With a wave of her hand, she kept everything inside and went out to wait for the others. After a while, everyone was done packing up. Yun Feng walked over and bowed to Sima Yue to thank her for saving his life. Later on, he heard about how Sima Yue had saved his life that day. Although he had recovered for a few days, Sima Yue was not around and he did not have the chance to thank her. Sima Yue didn't think much of it and said, If it wasn't for you, Yulin wouldn't have been able to escape from that person's hands. Me saving you can be considered helping him to repay you. Yulin is really lucky to have a relative like you. Yun Feng sighed. Sima Yulin looked at Sima Yu from the side, and his lips curled into a faint smile. Although he could take revenge himself in the future, he also liked to see her angry because of his injuries. Yun Jinwei walked over and told them to set off. Then he led them towards the small city. Perhaps it was because the outside of the city was a no-man's land, so there weren't many people coming and going. The city wasn't big either. Zhan Xiaoyuan walked out of the inn and prepared to return to the Zhan clan through the teleportation array. He had already reported the matter of killing the young master of the Yun family to the main family, and the main family told him that he could receive a reward when he returned. Therefore, after settling the matters here, he happily prepared to return to his home. But when he walked out, he saw someone he shouldn't have seen. Yunfeng? Didn't you guys enter the poisonous miasma for more than 2 days? How can you still be alive? Zhan Xiaoyuan was very surprised, his face full of disbelief. Yunfeng didn't say anything. Fear flashed across his face as he turned around and ran out of the city. You still want to run? Since I didn't kill you last time, I'll personally send you on your way this time. Zhan Xiaoyuan said as he chased after him. This kind of city had a rule that prohibited fighting within the city. He could only chase Yunfeng out of the city. The main family had already told him to go back and receive his reward. If they found out that Yunfeng was still alive, they would definitely accuse him of lying about the situation. Not only would they not reward him, they would also punish him. So no matter what, he had to kill Yunfeng today. He followed Yunfeng all the way to the outskirts of the city. Here they could fly. He saw Yunfeng fly to a mountain in the outskirts and sped up to chase after him. Before he landed, he saw a group of people on the mountain. His expression changed and he turned around to flee. However, he didn't know when, but there were a few people waiting for him in the air. Yulin, was he the one who forced you into the poisonous miasma? Sima Yue looked at Zhan Xiaoyuan and asked. Sima Yulin replied. It was this person who almost made him unable to see her forever. This person deserved to die. Without saying anything, the Yun family's divine-ranked experts all went to battle. Zhang Xiaoyuan, who had just advanced to the divine rank, could not withstand the attacks and was quickly killed without leaving a trace. Junior Valley Master, let's go back to the clan and discuss how to deal with the Zhan family in the Sage Pavilion. Yun Jinwei saw that Zhang Xiaoyuan was dead and said to Sima Yue. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. Thinking about how she had to use the teleportation array again, she felt pain in her heart. Now that the restless continent was so big, when she went up there, the distance would be even further. Wouldn't it be even more painful to use the teleportation array? No, I have to quickly improve my ability to set up my own array. It won't be so painful to use my own array. When I go up there, I won't have to use the Spirit Master Guild's array every time. She secretly made up her mind. The Sima family followed the Yun family to the Yun family. Just like the Guo family, they were treated with great respect. Sima Yue went to rest for 2 days. In these 2 days, no one from the Yun family came to disturb her. After Sima Yue felt comfortable, she went to the Spirit Pagoda to study arrays. Teleportation array, I must study this teleportation array properly. Sima Yue muttered as she studied the books on arrays. When she was in the Little Realm, although her teleportation array could only send her a few miles away, she could feel that her teleportation array was much more stable than the one from the Spirit Master Guild. She did not feel that dizziness. So if she studied it properly, she would be able to get rid of the pain of dizziness from the teleportation array. There were directional teleportation arrays and random teleportation arrays. She had to master both of them so that it would be easier for her to travel. Little spirit, why do I feel that this place is different from before? Sima Yue suddenly raised her head and asked. You just realized that it's different. When you advanced to Spirit Paragon, I also advanced. Little spirit appeared in the air, hugging a bottle of pills as snacks. What's the difference? The time is longer than before. In the past, 1 day outside was 3 days inside. Now 1 day outside is 10 days inside. The spiritual energy is also denser than before. Little spirit replied. Then has the second level been opened? No, according to your current strength, you should be able to open it when you reach the divine rank. I have to reach the divine rank. Sima Yue was a little depressed. It's so troublesome to open every level. How strong do I have to be to open the entire Spirit Pagoda? Don't be discouraged. You can't open it now because your spirit rank is too low. The increase in strength of a spirit rank is not comparable to the increase in strength of a divine rank. Little spirit said. Really? Sima Yue's eyes lit up. Then wouldn't it be easy to open the Spirit Pagoda in the future? Don't be happy too early. The more you advance, the more strength you need. It's not that easy to open the Spirit Pagoda. Little spirit poured cold water on her. However, this did not extinguish Sima Yue's happiness. It was fine as long as it was better than expected. Moreover, 1 day outside was equivalent to 10 days inside. She had more time to study arrays and pills. Moreover, hearing Little Spirit's words, when her strength increased in the future, it might even continue to evolve. At that time, it would definitely be better than now. Just thinking about it made her happy. Someone's coming. Little Spirit warned before disappearing from sight. Sima Yue walked out of the Spirit Pagoda and coincidentally heard a knock on the door. Come in. Bei Gong Tang brought Yun Feng in. Seeing Sima Yue, Yun Feng cupped his hands and bowed, saying, Uncle Guo and Pei Pei are here. My father invited you to the front for a chat. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Were they going to discuss how to destroy the Zhan clan? Chapter 383. Sima Yue followed Yun Feng to the living room of the main courtyard. When they arrived, Guo Siming and Guo Pei Pei were indeed there. There were also a few people she didn't know. Yun Jinwei sat in the main seat, and the Guo and Yun family members sat on either side. When she arrived, she was actually invited to the seat next to the main seat. Everyone in the room stood up to welcome her. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. She was not used to such a situation. However, when he thought about his identity as a Junior Valley Master, it was indeed quite impressive. Was this the so-called leaning against a big tree to enjoy the shade? She sat down in her seat and said, Everyone take a seat. You're all Yue's elders. You don't have to be so formal. Thank you, Junior Valley Master. Everyone thanked him and sat down. Junior Valley Master, we are planning to discuss how to deal with the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion. We would like to invite the Junior Valley Master to join us. Yun Jinwei said. As expected. Sima Yue said in her heart. Then she smiled and said, I don't know much about the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion's power. You guys can discuss it. I will listen from the side. All right. The Guo family and the Yun family also hoped that Sima Yue would interfere too much. She did not understand the situation of these forces. If her suggestions did not match the actual situation, it might bring trouble to them. The only reason they had invited her was to let her know about their plans. In order to make it easier for her to understand, Yun Jinwei first explained the general situation of the Zhan family, roughly how many people there were, how many businesses they had, etc. Sima Yue suddenly had an idea. It would be nice to bring the Sima family over to this continent. Previously, she had thought of bringing them to live in the primordial lands when she went there. However, after learning about the primordial lands, she felt that it was not a good thing to go there without strength. However, the current situation in the Yilin continent made her worried that there might be chaos at any time. If she continued to let them stay there, she would regret it to death if something happened one day. All things considered, moving here was the best choice. She could let the Guo family and Yun family help her. The Sima family could also increase their strength. The cultivation environment here was many times better than the Yilin continent. With this idea, she began to plan for the Sima family. Firstly, she needed a source of income. Secondly, she had to find a way to bring them over. Patriarch, how should we split the profits after the Zhans? Yue asked. What suggestions does the Junior Valley Master have? Yun's asked. Sima Yue's father and Yun Yue said, Ds and to Yue Yun was Yue. Yun Jinwei and Guo Siming were both surprised. She wasn't interested in these things earlier, so why did she suddenly make such a request? Why is young Valley Master interested in this? An elder of the Yun family asked. Yue, is Yue here? S of the clan's continents. 2. Sima Yue didn't intend to say it now, but if she really wanted to move the Sima family, she would need the help of the other two families. Why not tell them now? The Junior Valley Master wants to move the whole family here? Guo Siming asked. Sima Yue nodded. I didn't know about it before, but now that I know that the Yilin continent isn't suitable for living, I definitely want my grandfather and the rest to have a better life. Since that's the case, then my Guo family will give up our profits and share it with the Junior Valley Master. Guo Siming said. My Yun family is willing to give it up too. Yun Jinwei followed. Although the Zhan family had many businesses, but compared to being on good terms with Sima Yue, the latter was much more attractive. The Guo and Yun families had people in the Divine Devil Valley, so they had to be on good terms with Sima Yue. Sima Yue tapped her fingers on the table and said, No need, our family isn't that big. Even if we get so many businesses, we won't be able to digest them all. I'll take some of them and the rest will belong to you. Also, I'll give you enough compensation. Actually, the Yun and Guo families didn't intend to ask Sima Yue what compensation she was talking about, because they knew that she came from the Yilin continent, and that continent was lacking in resources, so they didn't think that she had anything good. After all, the Zhan family's wealth was too rich, and the portion that they gave her wasn't something that could be compensated with ordinary things. But when Sima Yue took out the item and heard the name, the Yun and Guo families felt their breaths stagnate, as if they had forgotten about their surroundings, and only saw the item in her hand. Junior Valley Master, is this really the divinity pill? The Yun family's elder swallowed his saliva, and stared straight at the pill bottle. That's right. Sima Yue poured out 2 pills, one for Yun Jinwei and the other for Guo Siming. I refined this 2 days ago, and it has already promoted the divine beast to a sacred beast, so you don't have to worry about the effect. Isn't it said that the divinity pill is very difficult to refine? Guo Pei asked. Even a 7th or 8th ranked alchemist might not be able to refine it, and the ingredients used are extremely harsh, so this divinity pill is simply priceless. Sima Yue smiled, saying, You should have people who have reached the peak of Spirit Paragon, but haven't advanced, right? This can help them advance to the divine rank. Is this divinity pill really ours? One of the elders carefully held the pill in his hands. Of course. Sima Yue took out 2 other jade bottles, saying, There are 9 pills in each bottle, so adding the ones in your hands there are 10 pills. This should be enough to cover the Zhan family's things, right? It's worth it, it's worth it. The value of this is much higher than those things. Guo Siming said. This was 10 divinity pills. Not to mention 10, even if there were 2 pills, 1 pill would be enough. This was because having 1 more divine rank cultivator would have a huge impact on a family, and it wasn't something that could be measured with wealth. If there were 10 more divine rank cultivators, the 2 families would be able to reach a higher level. Hence, this compensation was worth it. Sima Yue looked at their excited expressions, saying, I'll give each family 5 of these divinity pills first. If you can find a way for me to return and bring my family over, I'll give you the remaining 5 pills. If I fail, then the Zhan family's business will be of no use to me, and I'll just give up my share. How about this? Junior Valley Master, don't worry, we'll definitely find a way for you to return. Yun Jinwei said confidently. Compared to the Zhan family's business, they wanted the divinity pills more, so they would definitely think of a way to help Sima Yue return. Seeing them like this, Sima Yue smiled. Previously, when they helped her, it could be said that they were standing on her side, but now they were doing it for her, so naturally they would do their best. Alright, let's discuss the specific plan to destroy the Zhan family. Chapter 384. For the rest of the discussion, Sima Yue basically didn't say anything. She just listened quietly and didn't participate in the suppression of the shops. She would only lead people to participate in the final battle. Longting they discussed for a whole day, and only in the evening did they finalize the final plan. When it was over, she gave the divinity elixirs to the 2 family heads. Then she returned to the courtyard and told the Sima family about her plan. She also told them that she wanted to move the Sima family over. When they heard Sima Yu's thoughts, the Sima clansmen were all in agreement. Ever since they came into contact with the outside world, their horizons had been broadened, and they felt that the Yilin continent was not a suitable place to live. If they could bring the Sima family out, that would be the best thing to do. There was no need for Sima Yue and the rest to do anything in the early stages. Hence, they went to a nearby mountain range to cultivate. Before they left, she gave Yun Jinwei a mother-son stone so that it would be easier for them to find her. At the same time, she was also telling him not to look for her if there was nothing important. Yun Jinwei had lived for more than 100 years, so he naturally understood what Sima Yue meant. She meant that if there was anything, he would use this to contact her. Sima Yue brought the Sima family members to the mountain and asked Chongming to set up a barrier. Then she brought them into the Spirit Pagoda. Now that 1 day in the Spirit Pagoda was equivalent to 10 days, it would be intolerable if he didn't make use of it when he had nothing better to do. Time passed day by day. Half a year had passed in the outside world. They had lived inside for nearly 5 years. In these 5 years, each of them had made great progress. This kind of progress was absolutely shocking. The Yun family wasn't very far away, so they could feel the movements here from time to time. Sometimes they could feel the light of several advancements rushing into the sky. Later on, when the Yun family members saw the light of advancement again, they were already numb. Even if each of these freaks spent a day, they wouldn't be able to advance that much, right? One day, Sima Yue was setting up an array in the valley. Suddenly, she felt some movement from the mother-son stone. She took it out and heard Yun Jinwei's voice. Junior Valley Master, someone is looking for you. Yun Jinwei's voice could be heard. Looking for me? Sima Yue was stunned and asked, Who is looking for me? They are from the Divine Devil Valley. Before Yuni could finish, Old Man Devil's voice rang out, Brat, get back here. Master, why are you here? Sima Yue asked excitedly. She did not expect to hear Old Man Devil's voice. Come back first. Old Man Devil snapped the mother-son stone and said to the man beside him, Didn't you want to? Go. Don't regret it. The man's voice was low. When he raised his head, it was an extremely young face. He looked at Old Man Devil with an indifferent gaze, and his entire being emitted a cold aura. Tisich, what do I have to regret? Old Man Devil said. I will suppress my strength. The man flew out after he finished speaking. Yuni watched and said anxiously, Second Valley Lord, the Junior Valley Master has just become a spirit paragon. If he goes to test his strength now, will there be any problems? No problem, that guy knows his limits. Old Man Devil sat on the chair and crossed his legs. Are we really not going to take a look? Yuni was still worried. If you are worried, then go take a look. Tell them to come back early after they are done. Old Man Devil said. Yuni hesitated for a moment and bowed to Old Man Devil, saying, Your disciple will take her leave. She then ran towards the mountain range where Sima Yue and the rest were. Don't look down on my disciple. Old Man Devil snorted twice, showing his trust in Sima Yue. Sima Yue had just come out of the mountain range when she saw a person standing in the air. His hands were behind his back and his long hair fluttered in the wind as he looked straight at them. Yue, I feel like that person is here to pick a fight. Bei Gong Tang said. I can see that. Sima Yue and the rest stopped and faced that person. "You're Sima Yue?" That man looked at Sima Yue and sized her up with his cold eyes. "Who are you? Why are you blocking my way?" Sima Yue looked at that person and tried to filter the information in her head, but she couldn't remember who this person was. "Fight with me. If you win, you can go." That man immediately attacked Sima Yue after he finished speaking. "You guys back off." Sima Yue shouted and went up against that man. Peng! The two people's attacks met in the air and exploded. The others saw this and ran far away. 6th level Spirit Paragon? The man raised his eyebrows and looked at Sima Yue in disbelief. He formed a seal with his hands and said, "Black ice art." Small icicles slowly formed around his hands. With a thought, those icicles all flew towards Sima Yue. Sima Yue didn't expect him to use his spirit technique so quickly. She quickly formed a wall of fire to block the icicles and formed a seal with her hands. Most walls of fire did not have a strong defense, but Sima Yue's wall of fire was able to block all the attacks in front of it. When the spirit power of her wall of fire was depleted, those icicles also disappeared. But before she could relax, an even sharper icicle came flying towards her. She could even feel the coldness of the icicles. Luckily, she had finished preparing her spirit technique. She waved her long flaming sword and split the icicles apart. Raging fire slash. After she dodged the icicles, she raised her sword and slashed at that man. Ice shield. A huge ice shield quickly condensed, blocking her flaming saber. Sima Yue felt the coldness of the ice shield and was surprised. This ice shield was so strong that it could block her flaming sword. The flaming sword and the ice shield were in a stalemate. Suddenly, the man disappeared from his original position and the ice shield disappeared with him. Sima Yue was shocked. Where did he go? She closed her eyes and sensed her surroundings. Suddenly, she felt a slight fluctuation in the space behind her. At the same time, she felt a sense of danger. It's here. She moved her body and attacked that space with a wave of spirit energy. Ping! A wave of spirit energy appeared out of nowhere and the two collided in the air. Although it wasn't very intense, the man's figure was revealed. After the man appeared, he didn't attack again. He looked at Sima Yue and said, "You really have some skills." At this moment, Uni flew over. Seeing that the two of them were not injured, she sighed in relief and asked, "Are you guys done fighting? You know him?" Sima Yue looked at Uni and said, "If you know him, I won't kill him. I'll just hit his butt until it blossoms. I don't intend to let people who find trouble with me go." With that, she prepared to attack again. When Uni heard Sima Yue's vulgar words, she was speechless. However, she still said, "The Junior Valley Master only wanted to test your strength. He didn't really want to find trouble with you." Sima Yue paused. She looked at that man and then at Uni and said, "Junior Valley Master?" Chapter 385. Was this guy a Junior Valley Master? Yingbai Chuan? Sima Yue asked in disbelief. "Uni, is this guy really Yingbai Chuan?" Uni nodded. "You should call me Senior," Yingbai Chuan said coldly. Maybe it was because he cultivated the ice attribute, but Yingbai Chuan looked cold and arrogant. "Don't tell me you're here to test my strength?" Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. As the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley, other than having a skill, your cultivation and fighting strength must not be weak. Yingbai Chuan said, "Martial Uncle praised you as the best in the world, so I'm here to test you on behalf of my master." "Who is your master? The Great Valley Lord?" Sima Yue was speechless. "Yes." Yingbai Chuan said, "I suppressed my strength to that of a spirit paragon. Your performance is not bad." In fact, it was not just not bad, it was beyond his expectations. Although the two of them did not exchange many blows, but her reaction, the speed of her spirit skills and the richness of the spirit energy in her body greatly surprised him. If she did not meet him, she could be said to be invincible in the same rank. Thinking about how she found him when he was hiding, he said, "You're an array master?" Sima Yue was unhappy that Yingbai Chuan was testing her strength. She did not answer his question, turned around and waved to the Sima family, asking them to come over. Yingbai Chuan saw that Sima Yue was ignoring him, his eyebrows raised, but he did not say anything. Sima Yue and the others were a few hundred meters away when Sima Yue started fighting. To prevent the battle from affecting them, when they saw Sima Yue waving to them, they flew over. "Fifth bro, are you okay?" Sima Yue and the others looked at Yingbai Chuan nervously, not knowing why the two of them stopped fighting. However, this was also a good thing. They could feel his powerful strength. If they continued to fight, Sima Yue might not necessarily win. He is the other junior valley master of Divine Devil Valley. Sima Yue said, Master is still waiting for us, let's go back. Everyone was dumbfounded. He was actually here to test her. When they returned, Uni brought Sima Yue to the main hall where Old Man Devil and Yun Jinwei were waiting for them. The moment Sima Yue entered, she saw Old Man Devil sitting on the main seat with his legs crossed as he munched on a spirit fruit. Yun Jinwei was standing by the side, bent over and saying something. Master, why are you here? She walked over and found a place to sit down. Old Man Devil giggled as he looked at Ying Baichuan, who had followed behind him. How was it? Not bad, right? Martial Uncle has taken in a good disciple. Ying Baichuan said honestly. I already told you. If the two of you were at the same level, you might not be able to beat her. Old Man Devil said. Ying Baichuan was silent as he seriously pondered over Old Man Devil's words. If they were at the same level between him and her, who would win? He could feel that when she fought with him, she didn't struggle at all. Furthermore, his intuition told him that she still had a trump card that she hadn't used yet. However, he was looking forward to sparring with her again. You didn't tell Master that she's also an array master, he said. Array master? Old Man Devil was stunned. You know how to use arrays? I do. Sima Yue admitted. This Ying Baichuan was really sharp. It was just a simple sparring session, but he was able to guess her identity as an array master. Why didn't you tell me? Old Man Devil looked at her pitifully. He actually didn't know about his own disciple's skills. You didn't ask me? Sima Yue shrugged her shoulders. What else do you know? Old Man Devil asked. Beast taming. She replied, then glanced at him and said, Don't you already know this? Old Man Devil's mouth twitched. He had seen her taming Chongming, so he naturally knew that she knew how to tame beasts. What he was asking was if there was anything else she didn't know. Anything else? Nothing else. Just these three. When I have time in the future, I plan to learn how to refine weapons, she said. However, this was just her idea for now. As for whether or not she would put it into practice, that would depend on her. Chapter 386. After Sima Yue and the rest came out of the spatial tunnel, they went straight to Anyang City. It seemed like Old Man Devil was quite familiar with this place. You guys go back. Baichuan and I will go back up. Yini, you stay here. Old Man Devil said. Master, aren't you coming with us? Sima Yue asked. We can't interfere with your matters here. Whether or not you can survive this calamity is up to you. Old Man Devil said. Why? Sima Yue was confused. This is a convention from above. Old Man Devil said, if we casually meddle in the affairs of the lower realms, we will be attacked by other powers. There's such a convention? Of course, if we meddle in the affairs below, wouldn't the whole world be in chaos? The weak are protected by the heavenly Tao. Old Man Devil blew his beard. Then what about the Sage Pavilion expanding its influence everywhere? Although the Sage Pavilion is expanding its influence everywhere, the upper echelons are still unable to control the lower echelons. In other words, if something were to happen to the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, the higher-ups would not be able to send people down to take care of it. It's just that if they develop the offline, they will be able to obtain even more faith, and the people from the Sage Pavilion from the other continents will be able to directly enter the Sage Pavilion. That is to say, if we destroy the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, the higher-ups would not dare to send people to destroy the Yun and Guo families? Sima Yue understood. That's right. Old Man Devil said, every continent has its own destiny, and the Yilin continent's destiny is the worst. That's why it has become like this after millions of years. This time only you can resolve this matter by yourselves, but I believe that with you around, it won't be a problem. In a few months I'll come and take a look. If you're still alive I'll take you away. We're leaving. After Old Man Devil finished speaking, he opened another tunnel and brought Ying Baichuan in. Sima Yue waved her hand and shouted before the tunnel closed, Master, remember to pick us up early. Old Man Devil didn't answer her and the passageway closed. She didn't know if he heard her. Junior Valley Master, I can't help you if your life isn't in danger. Uni made her stance clear. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. Let's go back to the family first. I hope the family is fine. Sima Yuqing said worriedly. When they returned to the Sima residence, the guards at the gate were rather surprised to see them. These young masters and young mistresses had already left the clan for more than a year. They did not expect that they would return at this time. Young master, young Mississippi, Sima Yulin nodded lightly at them, asking, "Where's my grandfather?" The patriarch is not in the mansion right now, so the young patriarch is temporarily in charge of the family's affairs, the guard said. The young patriarch was Sima Yulin's father. The next patriarch was decided after Sima Tai woke up. Sima Yulin and the others went in to look for their father. Sima Jingren was very happy when he found out that Sima Yulin and the others had returned. Seeing that their power had already surpassed his, he was rather surprised. He sighed and thanked Sima Yu for bringing them out. "Father, what happened? Why isn't grandfather and the others here?" Sima Yulin asked. Sima Jingren sighed, saying, "We've always been paying attention to the situation in the ocean. A month ago, the ocean beasts in the ocean suddenly went crazy and attacked the humans. It's a good thing that we sent people to keep an eye on the situation over there, so we were able to defend in time." "Then what's the situation over there? The people from the various powers have all rushed over. Nobody can escape from this kind of situation." Sima Jingren said, "But even so, we're still the weaker side. It feels like all the spirit beasts in the ocean have come." "Grandfather and the others have all gone?" Sima Yulin asked. "Those who are spirit overlords and above have all gone. I've just finished arranging things and am preparing to bring the remaining people over." Sima Jingren said. "Let's go together." Sima Yuyang said. Sima Jingren was just about to say that they were too weak and should just stay at home when he suddenly remembered that they were already stronger than him. He nodded, saying, "Then let's go." As such, Sima Yu and the others set off again after returning home for less than an hour. This time they directly flew to a small city near the ocean. Sima Tai, Sima Lin and a group of elders stood on the city wall and observed the situation in the ocean, discussing the current situation. "More and more sea beasts are gathering here," Sima Lin said worriedly. "What do the other clans say?" Sima Tai asked. "Every clan says that they're in the same situation, especially the Nalan clan. They say that they can't hold on for much longer." Eldest elder said. "There have already been a few big battles and many sea beasts have died. However, they haven't retreated. Instead, there are more and more of them. This is not a good sign," Sima Tai said. "The most shocking thing is that those sea beasts are actually able to leave the ocean and come to land. This is too strange," Sima Lai said. "Have you guys noticed that those sea beasts have a black mist around them? It's this mist that allows them to fly," Sima Jun said. "We have to find the reason why the sea beasts are rioting." It was rare for the Sima family's ancestor to open his mouth, but he hit the nail on the head. The ocean had been peaceful for so many years. The situation that had happened recently was definitely not a coincidence. If they wanted the sea beasts to retreat, they had to find the reason for the rioting. "We've already sent people to investigate, but not a single one of them has returned. It's not just us. The other clans have also sent people to investigate, but it's the same situation," Sima Tai said as he furrowed his eyebrows. "Yesterday we sent 2 people to form a small team with the other clans to investigate. If they still can't find anything, then we can only do it ourselves. If only that child Yue was here. She has a sacred beast. She will definitely be able to find the reason," Sima Lin said. "But they're still in another continent. There's no point in thinking about them." Sima Tai sighed. "Oh, are you thinking about us?" Sima Yue's voice sounded, causing the group to think that they were hallucinating. Sima Yue and the rest came over from the city walls. When they saw Sima Tai and the rest, they smiled and bowed to the elders. "Weren't you guys in another continent? When did you come back?" Sima Lin asked in surprise. Sima Yue smiled and said, "Master sent us back. We went back to the clan and found out that you were all here, so we rushed over." "Yulin, did you see your father?" Sima Tai asked. "Father came with us, but he went to arrange for the people we brought over," Sima Yulin said. "Your strength?" Sima Lin felt that their auras were very similar to his, and looked at them in disbelief. Especially Sima Yue. Her aura was so strong that even they could not feel it. Didn't this mean that her rank was higher than theirs? Chapter 387. Hearing Sima Lin's words, everyone finally noticed their auras. They had all advanced to the level of spirit supremacy. Everyone was shocked. They had only been gone for a little over a year, but they had actually advanced from Spirit Grandmaster and Spirit Emperor to Spirit Supremacy. What did they encounter after they went out? Was it really that easy to cultivate in the outside world? I got a lot of opportunities, that's why I rose so quickly. Sima Yulin said. Grandfather. Sima Yuming and the others smiled as they walked to Sima Lai's side. When Sima Lai saw that his own grandson's rank was higher than his own, his heart was filled with emotion and pride. In the past few years, his strength had increased rapidly with the help of Sima Yue, but he still hadn't broken through to become a spiritual venerable. Master, I heard you guys talking about me just now. Sima Yue did not forget what they said about how good it would be if she was around. Yes. Sima Tai said, look at the sea. They were now in a city on a cliff by the sea. One of the city walls was on the cliff, and the waves from the sea would sometimes splash at the foot of the wall. Sima Yue and the rest looked at the surface of the sea and realized that it was filled with sea beasts. At a glance, the blue sea had turned black. Furthermore, it wasn't just limited to the city walls, but the entire coastline. Why is there such a venomous sea beast? Sima Yue and the rest were shocked. They did not expect the situation to be so serious. But sea beasts can only swim in the sea. As long as we don't go to the sea, won't we be fine? Fatty Chu asked. But the truth is not like that. Sima Lin said. Could it be that they can fly? Fatty Chu had originally wanted to tease them, but he did not expect the crowd to nod their heads in agreement. Damn, it can really fly? Yes. Sima Tai nodded. I don't know why, but those divine beasts all know how to fly. We've seen faint black lines on their bodies before, so we're guessing that this might be the reason. Then did you find out what that black line was? Sima Yuyang asked. No. We tried to investigate the cause of the sea beast's rampage, but we couldn't find anything. The people we sent out disappeared within 2 days. We guessed that they might have already met with misfortune. That's why we thought that if you were here, you might be able to find out the reason with a sacred beast. If we don't find the cause, I don't know how long this riot will last. Sima Yue frowned when she heard what they said. She instinctively felt that this matter had something to do with Forgotten Worry Island. At this moment, a guard rushed to the top of the city wall and looked around. When he saw Sima Tai and the others, he quickly ran over. Family head, the Sang clan has sent people to deal with us. Our plan has failed again. However, unlike the previous times, the sea beast threw the corpses back. The guard cupped his fists and said, Damn it. The elders clenched their fists, enraged by this blatant provocation. That person also said that the other 3 great clans are planning to gather all the leaders of their respective powers for a meeting to discuss their next step. The guard continued, in addition, the Sang clan's patriarch asked him to deliver a letter. Give it to me. Sima Tai said. The guard took out a letter and handed it to Sima Tai. He opened it and quickly skimmed through it. Patriarch, what did the letter say? The great elder asked. He told me the time and place of the meeting. Sima Tai said, they even said that the Nalan clan was the first to bring up this matter. They guessed that the Nalan clan had suffered heavy losses and wanted to take action. The Nalan clan suffered heavy losses? Did a lot of people die? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Sima Tai smiled. That smile was indescribably treacherous. At that time, the 4 great clans led the other clans, while the Li clan was in charge of providing the pills. I told them the 4 locations and explained the situation at each of them. Then, I told them about the situation at one of the locations in a more relaxed manner. That old man from the Nalan clan immediately rushed over. In the end, he discovered that the situation there wasn't as relaxed as I said. In fact, the situation there was worsening and it became the most serious area. They also suffered the most casualties. Then they didn't cause any trouble for you? Sima Yue didn't believe it. The Nalan clan didn't seem like they would be able to tolerate such a thing. They were clearly trying to scam them. What trouble could there be? When they went there, that place was indeed the most relaxed. The situation only worsened later on. We just didn't tell them about it. What could they say? Sly old fox. Sima Yue muttered. He must have discovered that the place looked the most relaxed now, but there were signs that it would get worse later on. However, he only told them about the current situation and didn't mention the signs. Therefore, the Nalan clan immediately chose that area. They thought that they had picked up a bargain, but they didn't expect to pick up a hot potato. Actually, the Nalan clan did contact the Sima family later on. However, the Sima family members said that they didn't know about it at that time. Moreover, the situation at that place was the worst. They were the ones who fought to go there. It had nothing to do with the Sima family. The Nalan clan was speechless. They knew that the Sima family had scammed them, but they couldn't do anything about it. They could only continue to stay there. Now that the situation was getting worse, they didn't want to maintain the status quo. Therefore they proposed this meeting. Sima Yue guessed that they might even propose to choose a leader. Where will this meeting be held? The old ancestor of the Sima family asked. In Yi City where the Nalan clan is stationed. The time is 5 days later. Sima Tai replied. Then who do you plan to bring? Eldest elder asked. Just you and Yulin. I'll just bring 2 more guards. Sima Tai said, the others will stay here and keep an eye on the situation. When he said that he would bring Sima Yue and Sima Yulin, the others didn't have any objections. Knowing that she had a sacred beast by her side, they didn't have to worry about the Nalan clan's tricks. However, there were 10 people who went on the journey because Bei Gong Tang and the others went with them. Wherever Sima Yue went they would go. There was no teleportation array between Yi City and the small city they were in, so everyone could only sit on flying beasts. They flew along the sea for 4 days before reaching Yi City. The Nalan clan had already sent people to welcome them at the city gates. That was why the Nalan clan knew when they arrived. However, Sima Tai didn't go to meet the Nalan clan. Instead, he brought Sima Yue and the others to an inn to find a place to rest. He didn't give the Nalan clan any face. When the other powers saw this, they couldn't help but purse their lips. The Sima clan was really... However, everyone knew about the grudges between the 2 clans. They also felt that the Sima clan's actions were reasonable. Yi City was also a city near the sea. Sima Yue had nothing to do on the 2nd day, so she went to the sea with Bei Gong Tang and the others to observe the situation. She realized that there were more sea beasts here compared to other places. The situation was much more dangerous. Yue, look. There's something wrong with these sea beasts. Bei Gong Tang said as she pointed at the sea. Chapter 388. Sima Yue and the rest also noticed the abnormality in the sea. They nodded and said, there is indeed something wrong with these sea beasts. Their eyes look dull. Could it be that they are also being controlled like the spirit beasts in 10,000 Beast Mountain? Fatty Chu guessed. It's possible. Wei Ziqi nodded. Could it be the creature from Forgotten Worry Island that Yue mentioned last time? Ouyang Fei frowned. If that's really the case then it'll be troublesome. Bei Gong Tang said. Yeah. Sima Yue sighed. If that was the case it would be really troublesome. At that time, Chongming said that although that creature wasn't as strong as the one from 10,000 Beast Mountain, if it wasn't suppressed, he wouldn't have been able to fight against it. She recalled the time when she was in the sea, when she saw the black light devouring the creatures on the island. She still had some lingering fear. Sima Yulin naturally thought of that experience as well and was equally worried. At this moment, a group of people flew over them. When they saw them on the shore they stopped for a moment. One of them alighted while the other group continued flying towards Kargalik. Brother Yulin. After Sang Cheongli landed on the ground, he nodded at Sima Yu before looking at Sima Yu saying, I've been looking for you all this time. Later on, I heard that you left the Yilin continent. Sima Yu was stunned. Looking for her? You've become stronger. Sang Cheongli felt Sima Yu's aura and said, you're much stronger than before. Have you already entered the Supreme Realm? Sima Yu nodded. She remembered that this guy wanted to challenge her to a duel, but she didn't accept his challenge. It seemed that he came looking for him to compete with him. Sang Cheongli was shocked to see Sima Yu admit it, but he did not show it on his face. Brother Cheongli has always been at the coast? Sima Yulin asked. Yes, it's been here since the start of the sea beast rampage. Sang Cheongli said. Then did you discover anything? Sima Yu asked. Sang Cheongli looked at the sea beasts and said, they seem to be controlled by something. We also tried to find out the reason why they were being controlled, but the people we sent out didn't find anything. Instead they never returned. This time their corpses were directly thrown in front of us. Their deaths were too tragic. Sang Cheongli's voice was trembling. It seemed that he had been greatly provoked by this provocation. What about the strength of the sea beast? Are there any changes? Sima Yu asked. She remembered that Jade had once said that when the beasts of 10,000 Beast Mountain attacked the city, their strength would be a bit stronger than usual. It could be said that the suppressed creatures had added their strength to the spirit beasts and divine beasts. I heard from people who have dealt with sea beasts that there are no changes. Sang Qiongli understood what Sima Yue meant and replied. That's better, Sima Yue said. The most important thing right now is to find out the reason for controlling the sea beasts. Sima Yulin said, I hope it's not that. Could it be that Brother Yulin knows something? Sang Qiongli asked. Sima Yulin glanced at Sima Yue. Seeing that she didn't object, he told her about what happened at Forgotten Worry Island. In any case, the Sima family would talk about this during this meeting. He was just saying it in advance. However, I heard my grandfather say that he tried to send people to Forgotten Worry Island, but they never returned. He added. Almost none of the people who entered the ocean came back alive. Sang Qiongli said, then looked at Sima Yue and said, however, you have a sacred beast so you might be able to. Previously, everyone had placed their hopes on Sima Yue. However, they found out that she had already left the continent for more than a year. They also found out that she had already entered the Divine Devil Valley. However, her identity as a junior valley master was not revealed. Furthermore, her departure from the continent was completed with the help of the Divine Devil Valley. Now that everyone knew that she had returned, they would definitely want to look for her to investigate this matter. Just as the few of them were chatting, the entire ocean started to boil. Those low-ranked sea beasts that had gathered before quickly dispersed. Following that, a group of divine beasts came from afar. When they were about to reach the shore, they suddenly flew into the sky. Oh no, it's the killer whales. Sang Qiongli looked at the killer whales and shouted. At this moment, a long horn sounded in Kargalic. Once the horn sounded, people appeared on the city walls one after another. Seeing the invading sea beasts, the faces of the people on the city walls changed. The killer whales were extremely ferocious. The strength of their tails was extremely strong. Those sharp teeth made people panic. How could it be the killer whales? Aren't these sea beasts rarely seen? Someone shouted. And there are so many of them. I'm afraid we don't have enough manpower. We must immediately send people from nearby. It's too late. There are too many killer whales this time. I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on for long. What do we do now? Could it be that we really can't escape this time? It can't be. There must be a way. What other way is there? There are so many divine beasts attacking, and many of them are 5th level and above. Those are divine beasts with the power of spirit paragons. But look at how many spirit paragons we have. Facing hundreds of divine beasts, these people panicked. Why are there a few youngsters standing over there? Someone noticed Sima Yue and the rest. The others looked over and indeed saw a few people standing in the distance, staring straight at the approaching group of killer whales. Their motionless looks were as if they were scared silly. It's them? Someone recognized Sima Yue and the rest and laughed loudly, saying, Ha, I'm saved. I'm saved. Are you stupid? There are only a few of them. Why are you so excited? The person who recognized Sima Yue pointed at Sima Yue, as if he saw the hope of survival, saying, That's Sima Yue from the Sima family. It's her. Yue generation? That's the youngest generation in the Sima family, right? Don't tell me you're counting on a little kid to save us? The person who spoke gave the person a look that said, You're stupid. You're the stupid one. It's Sima Yue. She has a sacred beast by her side. With a sacred beast by her side, how could anything happen to us? That person said excitedly. I remember now. The Sima family does have a sacred beast. They said that they had already left this continent. I didn't expect her to be here. Then we're really saved. That's great. The people on the city wall were extremely excited. Their gazes towards the killer whales were no longer as fearful. Sima Yue stood by the shore and stared at the killer whales flying over, carefully observing something. Just as Sima Tai and the rest had said, these killer whales had faint black lines wrapped around them, as if they were being dragged out of the sea. But it couldn't be said that it was something that was controlling them. Then her gaze landed on the black clouds that were gradually floating over. She felt that the black clouds were a little strange. Chapter 389. That dark cloud gave her a strange feeling. On the sea, storms and hurricanes were possible, and this kind of dark cloud was very common. However, when she looked at the dark cloud, she felt that it was alive and had followed the sea beast here. There's something strange about that cloud, she said. The others also looked at the cloud, but they didn't find anything different. He's here. They didn't have time to look at the dark clouds carefully. The killer whales were already close to them. They had to put down their thoughts and fight with the people from the city. Am I seeing things? Are they spiritual paragons? Damn, it's true. They are all spiritual venerables. How old are they? Oh my god, this is unbelievable. Everyone pay attention to your battle. Be careful not to be eaten by the killer whale. Only when someone reminded them did they come back to their senses and continue to fight their opponents. However, their gazes would occasionally drift towards Sima Yue and the others. Although Sima Yue and the rest were all spiritual paragons, their opponents had many divine beasts of level 5 and above. They called out all of their contracted beasts. Uni didn't make a move from the beginning. Although she was standing there, no killer whale attacked her. It was as if she didn't exist at all. Although they were stronger, there were still people who died in the battle. Sima Yue unintentionally saw faint figures flying towards the dark clouds. What's that? She watched in surprise as the shadows flew into the dark clouds. She was so shocked that she even forgot about the killer whale in front of her. Fortunately, Little Rock and the others reacted and pulled her away. Yue, be careful. Bei Gong Tang, who was at the side, shouted towards Sima Yue after killing a killer whale. Yes. Sima Yue flew onto Little Rock's back and no longer faced the killer whale directly. Instead, she flew to the side and stared intently at the dark clouds. Although those killer whales didn't have their own consciousness, they knew how powerful Sima Yue was and didn't take the initiative to provoke her. Another spirit master was killed by the killer whale. She looked at the person and saw a faint figure floating out of the body and flying into the dark cloud. She could see the fear and constant struggle on the figure's face. It seemed that the figure was terrified of the dark clouds and wanted to escape but couldn't. Soon the figure was sucked into the dark clouds. Sima Yue could even see his distorted face before he was sucked into the dark clouds. What was going on? She looked at the dark clouds with a solemn expression. Yue, what are you looking at? Bei Gong Tang flew over. Her condition really made people feel uneasy. Did you see those shadows being sucked into the dark clouds? She looked at Bei Gong Tang and asked, Shadow? What shadow? Bei Gong looked at Sima Yue, not knowing what she was talking about. You guys didn't see it? She was surprised. Was she the only one who saw it? Another person died and the same scene repeated itself. Look, that shadow. She pulled on Bei Gong Tang's arm and pointed at the shadow. Bei Gong Tang followed her finger and looked, but still didn't see anything. Fatty Chu had just finished off his opponent and was caught by Sima Yue. She wanted him to see the shadow. I didn't see anything. Yue, what did you want me to see? The answer was the same as Bei Gong Tang's, nothing. Sima Yue was sure that she was the only one who could see those shadows. Those powerful killer whales were killed by Sima Yue and her contracted beasts. In addition to the people gathered in the city, the battle ended very quickly. Fresh blood dyed the entire sea red. The low-leveled sea beasts that surrounded the area all gathered in the distance and didn't come near anymore. And that dark cloud slowly floated away just like how it came. Other than the few of them, no one else paid attention to it. Sima Yue looked at the dark clouds with a grave expression. Yue, what did you see just now? Bei Gong Tang looked at Sima Yue. It didn't seem like she was trying to scare everyone. She seemed to have seen something that no one could see. Let's talk about it when we get back, Sima Yue said. She looked at Uni and saw that Uni was also looking at the dark clouds. Her eyes flashed. They returned to the inn in Yi City. Sang Qiongli also wanted to know what Sima Yue saw just now, so he followed along. Sima Tai didn't go to battle. He knew that with Sima Yue around, nothing would happen. But he still went out and saw that Sima Yue and the rest were acting strangely from afar. When Sima Yue and the rest returned, the first thing he said was, "Did you discover something?" Sima Yue didn't expect that Sima Tai would know that she saw something even though they weren't together. She nodded and said, "Indeed. When we were fighting just now, I realized that there was a faint shadow floating out from the bodies of those who died. Those shadows were sucked into the dark clouds." What? Everyone was shocked. Why didn't they see any shadows? You said that those shadows all entered the dark clouds? Sima Tai asked. Yes. Sima Yue said confidently. Those shadows seemed to be very afraid of the dark clouds. They kept struggling but to no avail. In the end, they were all sucked into the dark clouds. What are those shadows? Are they the souls of those people? Fatty Chu guessed. That's possible. Then why did the dark clouds suck their souls in? Everyone couldn't understand and couldn't guess what was going on. Uni, do you know something? Sima Yue thought of Uni's expression and felt that he should know something. I'm not sure. I can only come to a conclusion after seeing it. Uni said, but I'm more curious. Even I didn't see the shadow you mentioned. Why are you the only one who noticed it? Sima Yue was stunned. That's right, why was she the only one who saw those shadows? If even you can't see it, how can I see it? You're much stronger than me. Could it be that she was reborn and that was why she could see it? Maybe this matter has something to do with it. Sima Tai said, it would be great if we could investigate this. Clan head, let me investigate. Sima Yue said, if I'm the only one who can see it, I'm the most suitable person to investigate. Previously, she thought that this matter had something to do with the creature on Forgotten Worry Island. However, it seemed that it was because of the dark clouds. However, no one could say for sure whether the dark clouds had anything to do with that creature. At this moment there was a knock on the door. A guard walked in and said, Clan head, the Nalan clan has sent someone to invite you. They said that they're holding a meeting in advance. It seemed that today's matter had made the Nalan clan even more afraid and they wanted to change the situation. Sima Tai stood up and said, since they've invited us, let's go over. Yue Yulin, the two of you come with me. Chapter 390. Sima Yue and the rest followed the Nalan family to a mansion. This mansion was probably the biggest mansion in the entire Kargalik. It was now the headquarters of the Nalan family. Sima family head, the other family heads have already arrived. Our family head is waiting for you inside. The guard who led the way said. Because Sima Tai walked very slowly and lived far away, by the time they arrived, the other forces had already arrived. It's getting harder and harder to meet the head of the Sima family. Everyone is here waiting for you. As soon as he entered the hall, a sarcastic voice sounded. Sima Yue looked in the direction of the voice and saw an old woman sitting in the middle. She was staring at them coldly. Who is that? She asked Sima Yulin softly. It should be the ancestor of the Nalan clan. Sima Yulin guessed based on where she was sitting. This matter was a very serious test for the entire continent, so all the ancestors of the various clans came out of seclusion. Sima Tai didn't seem to mind the old woman's words, saying, the inn we're staying at is far from here. My grandnephew just finished participating in the battle this afternoon, so I spent a bit of time comforting him. Sorry for being late. Although he said that, there was no apology in his words at all. Speaking of this battle, this is the first time such a ferocious sea beast like the killer whale has appeared, right? Someone brought the topic to the battle. Not only that, this time there are more mythological beasts than before. If it wasn't for the little friends of the Sima family and their friends and contracted beasts, I'm afraid the entire city would be in danger. Speaking of this, everyone remembered that this group of young people and their contracted beasts were all spiritual venerables. When they thought about how much effort they had put into the battle today, everyone didn't mind that they were late. The Nalan family head sat beside the old woman and said, everyone can see that today's situation is actually quite dangerous. Because of the lack of coordination, our strength here is relatively weak. Everyone was almost wiped out. The situation is indeed quite dangerous. Everyone agreed. The Nalan family's head saw everyone's reaction, and the corner of his mouth slightly raised into a smile as he said, situations like this also happen in other places from time to time. When the people nearby received the news and rushed over, the casualties were already very serious. The death of every human weakens our combat strength. This is a huge loss for us humans, but this loss can be avoided. How can we avoid it? Someone asked. If we can integrate all the fighting forces into one and make a unified arrangement, this kind of unequal distribution of forces will not occur. The Nalan family head said. Patriarch Nalan, you mean to say that we should unite all the powers, form an alliance, and then choose a leader? Patriarch was said. That's exactly what I meant. Nalan family head nodded. To form an alliance, my Hua clan wholeheartedly supports this suggestion. The Hua clan's patriarch said. My Sang clan also agrees. The Sang clan head said. We also agree. Family headly said. Everyone's attention was focused on Sima Tai. If the 5 great clans agreed to this matter, then the remaining forces naturally wouldn't have any objections. Why are you all looking at me? Sima Tai leaned back in his chair and said, this is something beneficial to mankind. My Sima family naturally agrees. The Nalan family head saw that Sima Tai agreed so easily and was somewhat surprised. However, he didn't show it too much and said, what about the others? We agree. Agree. Everyone present agreed with this suggestion and no one objected. Good. The Nalan family head waved his hand and everyone quieted down. He continued, Since no one has any objections, then let's choose a leader. He will lead everyone to fight against the sea beasts. Good. Everyone nodded. I wonder if there is anyone in mind for the position of leader? The Nalan family had asked. Naturally, only the strongest person can take on this heavy responsibility, someone said. Naturally, the Nalan family's ancestor is the most suitable. Right, our Nalan family's ancestor is the strongest here. Naturally, she should be the leader. The others agreed. That's right. The Nalan family people all laughed. They expected that the ancestors of the great clans wouldn't personally attend this meeting. That's why they let their own ancestors attend. With these people's words, the position of leader naturally belonged to their Nalan family. Once they became the leader, they would definitely send the Sima family to the front and let them have a taste of being the vanguard. The old woman laughed and said, "This old woman is just a bag of old bones. How can I take on this heavy responsibility?" Nalan family head, you don't need to be humble. Other than you, who else can take the position of leader? That's right. This position belongs to none other than you, Nalan family head. Nalan family head saw that everyone was saying this and said awkwardly, "Since everyone is saying this, then this old woman will respectfully, if we're talking about the strongest, then it should be the Sima family Sima Yue, right?" Nalan family head's words were interrupted and the last sentence was stuck in her throat. Who's Sima Yue? Someone asked. The smile on Nalan family head's face froze as she looked at the person who spoke. It was Sang Cheong Li. Sima Yue, the Yue generation. You're the youngest generation of the Sima family, right? She looked at the Nalan family head and asked. Yes, old ancestor. The Nalan family head replied. How many years has a young person cultivated? How can such a person be the strongest? You little brat, don't spout nonsense. Just stand behind your parents and listen. Someone was unhappy. Sima Yue did not expect Sang Cheong Li to mention her name. She raised her head and looked at Sang Cheong Li. Not only her but everyone else also looked at him. Sang Cheong Li did not get angry and explained, "You only said that she is the strongest. You didn't say whether it was her own cultivation or external help. This Sima Yue's strength is something that many of you cannot compare to. Just based on the fact that she has contracted a sacred beast, she is better than everyone here." Sacred beast. That's right, I've heard that a sacred beast appeared in our continent and was contracted by someone. I didn't expect it to be contracted by a young person from the Sima family. The Yilin continent was so big and not everyone knew Sima Yue. Now that they heard that she was the one who had contracted the sacred beast, they all had different thoughts. If they were to calculate it that way, she was indeed the strongest person here. Her sacred beast was enough to kill everyone present. The Nalan family did not expect that someone would come out of nowhere. Just as they were about to get the position of the alliance head, something like this happened. The Sima Yue is still young. If she is to take the position of the alliance head, I'm afraid that she is not experienced enough? The Nalan family head said with a black face. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.